and looking forward to the show. Obviously, we are coming off the back of Tuesday Night War, a Tuesday Night War that it's going to be good to kind of move away from an AEW perspective and a WWE perspective, to be honest, because I think both shows benefit when they are really focusing on their own product rather than worrying about what another brand is doing. AEW have certainly got a few things they need to sort and a few things that they need to work out, but they had quite a healthy number for Collision, which is a very encouraging sign. We were looking at that yesterday. The numbers came out, and we saw that they'd posted for Collision over the weekend a pretty strong number. I think it was about 500,000. I don't know if I've still got access to that. I don't know if I've still got those numbers around, but I know that it was very strong. I'm just having a look, seeing if I can find it now. Women's title eliminate. Yeah, here we go. Collision ratings up. It tops 500,000. Now, obviously, they've been going up against like some tough competition. They've been going up against like WWE premium live events and going up against NXT live events as well. I think this weekend they were not up against anything. I don't think they were up against anything at all, actually, because the big event that was on Saturday took place here in the UK, and that was KSI against Tommy Fury, and I think it was all done and finished by the time that Collision actually started, and there was no WWE shows. So yeah, this meant that they had a little bit of a free run. I'm sure there was still some sort of sport. They were going up against a UFC card, but it was a pretty low level UFC cards. Saturday night's Collision did 504,000 viewers. It was up 42.8%. I mean, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? To be up like 40 odd percent. 42.8% after 2 straight weeks of going up against WWE premium live events. It was the best Collision audience since September 23rd. I mean, it's really encouraging. It's a really strong number. Collision drew a 0.14 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. That was up 55.6% from last week. It was headlined by Christian Cage against Bryan Danielson. Or Christian Cage, Bryan Danielson. The main competition was a big football game, which was Notre Dame, however you pronounce it, versus USC. That averaged 6.4 million viewers. It's crazy, isn't it? And drew a 1.53 rating in the 1849. So, yeah, amazing. So, a much better number for Collision. Does that mean that we're going to see a much stronger performance for Dynamite? Like, I think this will bounce back, obviously, from its 600,000 last week. It's back into its regular time slot. That's only going to help. So I think that we're going to see, obviously, a big bounce back. I don't know what we bounce back to. I don't know if it's going to be 800,000, 850,000. It might be 700 and something thousand. We might just be working our way kind of back up. I don't know if it's just going to go straight back to where it was. But to be honest, I mean, there's no wrestling on tonight. There's no competition tonight. If you're a wrestling fan, this is your, maybe not your only option, but it's probably your best option. So it could bounce back to that 800,000 mark. But certainly if we look at the Collision numbers, that gives us some optimism that things are going to get back to where they were. But the big question is, how does the business move forward? How does AEW get back, not to 800,000 or 850? How does it get to 1 million? How is it going to take those next steps? And we've tried a lot of different things. And I honestly don't know at what point, like, the MJF title reign is questioned. I don't know if, like, I mean, it was 13 times we hit 1 million last year, and now we are stuck on 850, right? And we're seeing weeks where we're dipping below that. And I've said before, like, one of the first things that you would look at when it comes to like old school booking is you would look at your champion. This would be a reflection of your champion not drawing attention, not bringing in the eyes. If you think about how amazing Bloodline has been for WWE, and you look at the impact that the Bloodline, Roman and the Bloodline story has had, and then you compare it to MJF as champion and what that has done as ratings, it feels a bit unfair to blame him, because in actual fact, he tends to be one of the most entertaining parts of the show. He tends to be one of the parts of the show that I think people enjoy the most. So it does feel unfair to just go, it's his fault, right? That doesn't feel like it's accurate. But could you question how he's been used? Could you question the storylines he's been involved in? We haven't had anything that's had the impact of a Bloodline, and he's the guy on top. It shouldn't really matter what we're doing with Swerve. It shouldn't really matter what we're doing with the tag titles, right? It should be that your main story is going to be involving your champion, and that should be driving your business. If you think about John Cena, you think about Hulk Hogan in the 80s, you think about Stone Cold and Mr. McMahon, it's normally that story at the top of the cards. Cena and CM Punk, or Cena and The Rock, or Andre and Hogan, or whatever it might be. It's normally the top end of the cards that drives the ratings. And AEW have just been flat for most of this year. In fact, pretty much all of this year. And I think ticket sales are just a reflection, to be honest, of a bit of fatigue that's snuck into America. I think that obviously they are still in the process of building their fan base, and so they are going back to like Chicago a lot, and they're going back to certain markets a lot. And I think we're just seeing fatigue. I think we're just seeing a lot of fans that are like being leaned on quite a bit. And I think that's difficult. So I think tickets are, a struggle. But I think it would be like the TV ratings that would be a bigger concern, because we're looking for how we get to that million. We're looking for what's going to take us there. And maybe it's Adam Copeland, Maybe it's Adam Copeland. Maybe Adam Copeland is going to be the one that's going to be able to open that up. And this is going to be interesting, because obviously last week we didn't get a good, accurate picture of ratings for Adam Copeland, right? So I think the week before that, it was like 800,000. So 2 weeks ago, there was an issue with the TV schedule, and that meant that a load of people didn't watch the show at a time where they thought it was going to be on, or there was miscommunication, and clearly it had an effect, because that rating came out at 800,000, and that was Adam Copeland's first show, right? There shouldn't really be any reason as to why you normally do 850. You then have Adam Copeland, who does his first show, and the number comes out at 800,000. Like, it doesn't, the maths, they don't add up. It doesn't stack up, right? So as much as WWE fans might like to banter that number, I definitely think that there was an impact there for the DVR thing, the TV stations and the scheduling and whatever. So that was 2 weeks ago. And then last week, obviously, it was the Tuesday Night War, so there was big disruption there. So this is going to be, as long as there's no more technical glitches, this should be our first proper glimpse as to the impact that Adam Copeland can have when it comes to really, doing something with the numbers tonight. There's no competition. They've got a decent looking card, which we're going to have a look at soon. It's not big, to be honest. We'll have a look at it, though. I've got the graphic. So this is going to be one of our first chances to have a look at that. So, yeah, I think tonight is going to be an interesting night. I think tonight is going to be it's going to be interesting to see, right, we're past all that noise. Now we can just focus on the show. What are the stories that you're telling right now? What is the show that you've got right now? What does AEW Dynamite look like right now? And so I think from that perspective, it's going to be very interesting. So we will jump over to the cards, but I'm going to jump into Mitchell. Mitchell says, if you look at the quarter ratings, MJF isn't the problem. Anytime he's on, the ratings go up. The issue is what he's doing seems to be all the people tune in for. Well, yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that the way that you're using MJF is not keeping people around. So, for example, right, I do think MJF's the issue, because I think if you look at Roman as the example, we've watched lots of SmackDowns where the rest of the show has not been very good, but Roman has still driven people to the show. The problem you've got with MJF is that he will be in a segment, maybe taking you from hour 1 into hour 2. But that's pretty much all you're going to get out of him, right? Maybe you'll get a little backstage interview or something, but by and large, you'll get a little segment hour 1 into hour 2. So what I don't understand is, why don't you have him come out at the start of the show like they do with Roman? So on SmackDown, Roman will come out at the beginning. We'll get a whole Bloodline segment with a big promo and Roman setting up the show, right? People will obviously tune in because they want to see Roman. And then that will then lead into the main event, because obviously something will happen in that first segment. Someone's going to interrupt, or something's going to happen, whereby then that'll create the main event, where I'm sure Roman will be involved again. And not only that, throughout the show, we go backstage and we go to Roman. So there's a story that's weaved throughout the show, and we keep going back to that story. So the structure of how we use Roman on SmackDown, you would think would be a template, but Tony can't copy. You would think that Tony would be able to look at that and go, I can do that with MJF. But that's seemingly not what we do. And what we do instead on AEW is we have MJF come out in one segment, which may bring people in, and we may see a little boost when MJF is on, but that's pretty much all you're going to get out of him for this week's show. And then the main event will be Darby Allin versus Christian Cage or whatever. The opening match will be Orange Cassidy. And so your reliance on MJF is just on that one segment. Whereas the reliance on Roman on SmackDown is a lot greater. So if you're so MJF is a problem in regards to how you're using MJF. So like, could it be a case that we need to restructure that so that we are like using him a lot better and using him on the show a bit more, and kind of having a strong story that kind of leads throughout the program that we can then like lean on with MJF? Because for me, MJF this year, I don't think he's a good champion. I don't think he's been a good champion. I think that I don't think he's been a good champion. I don't think his stories have been that good. I don't think the way they've used him has been very good. I really would target that as like the old school mentality is, as I said, you know, your champion is your main driver when it comes to your ratings, when it comes to your ticket sales, when it comes to your business. You know, this is why back in the day in WWE, they would change their champion if ticket sales were down or house sales were down. You know, Hulk Hogan like said that when he dropped the title to Ultimate Warrior, he knew that they would come back to him sooner than later. He knew he was going to get that title back because he knew that Warrior would just not be a drawing champion. The appeal of the Ultimate Warrior would be very limited, because once you've seen one Warrior match, you've seen him all. He'll run to the ring, he'll shake the ropes, he'll be around for a few minutes, he'll get a squash win, and then he's gone again. And Hogan was like, I knew that they would come back to me, because I knew that once you've seen that, you're not going to be too bothered about seeing it again. So and it sort of proved true, to be honest. Ultimate Warrior wasn't a great drawing champion. And lo and behold, he lost the belt to Warrior at WrestleMania 6, and he won it back at WrestleMania 7 because they wanted to put it back on someone that was going to draw houses, that was going to, you know, bring interest back to the promotion. And I think that I always use that as a starting point. Now, how much is actually MJF's fault and how much is storyline's fault? I can definitely, I mean, I just grouped them all together. There's something wrong with MJF as champion, be it his fault, be it his promos, be it his story, be it the people he's feuding with, be it his match quality, or what, you know, it could be a million different things. But something's not right at the top of the cards. That's what it says to me straight away. Something's not right at the top of the cards. Because your bottom end of the card just ain't bringing eyes in, right? Your middle part of the cards, you should have some stuff that's going on. And, you know, you should, you know, it should be working harder for you than it is for AEW. But it's your top end of the card that really drives things. It's your top end of the card that really sets the tone. That's why we see belts getting changed around so much. So I really think they need to look at that MJF thing. But I mean, like Mitchell said, like maybe it's a case of like how he's being used. Maybe it's a case of like it's not structured correctly, and we're not opening the show with him. We're not setting up the main event with him. We're not revisiting back to him like throughout the show. There's not that story that's kind of weaved, you know. So I don't know. I mean, I would say let's see if they do it tonight. I don't know that they will. They seem to have a certain way that they like to do things, and for the longest time, we were opening the shows with Orange Cassidy. And you know, if they want to do that, then fine, do that. But the ratings have stayed pretty consistent throughout the year, and they've stayed at around about like 850,000, as we said. And I understand people might look at that and say, well, that's not bad. And it's not bad, to be honest. I mean, it doesn't strike me as a bad number. But the concern would be that we know that TV is declining. We know the ratings are only going in one direction, and that is down. So that would indicate that unless we do something, this year's 850 is going to be 800,000, 775,000 next year, right? Because there will be a natural decline, because TV is seeing that natural decline unless you can find a story or a champion or something that can really turn things around, that can really, like, you know, boost your numbers again. But I do agree, like, some of that stuff that's bubbling underneath hasn't been strong enough. I think there's been a lack of stories in the mid-card as well. How much that drives ratings, though, I mean, that's a hell of a conversation to have, isn't it? I mean, that would be, you know, this is where we're going to have to get PowerPoint presentations. But, yeah, I think the 500,000 for Collision is encouraging. And I'm expecting them to do, like, you know, a decent number this week. But as I said, I don't know if it's going to bounce back to that 850 straight away, or if it's going to go to like the 700,000 range first, and then get back to 800,000. So we'll have to wait and see. Dark Knight said, I work with WWE fan who absolutely hates AEW. His reasoning is the way the fans behave, and I can't convince him otherwise. Botched Eye Surgery said AEW is going to injure all the old guys that they rely on way too much. How long can Tony keep losing money? Well, I mean, only he will know the answer to that. I don't think we've seen the finances, so I don't know that he is losing money. But big but, right? Nicki Minaj. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is, because that is serious wages. We know that ticket sales aren't going to be generating anything massive, because most of their shows, you're looking at around about 3,000 people, 3,000, 4,000. So it doesn't feel like ticket sales are going to be covering that massive wage bill and operational costs. And all the insurance that has to be paid, and just, I mean, the expenditure, I've no doubt, is really high. And you're looking to see where they're getting that money from. I mean, obviously, it's TV, where is their biggest contributing factor when it comes to like income. It's going to be that TV money. But I honestly don't know if that number is big enough to cover the costs. I really would seriously doubt that it is. Certainly if you then take into account the rumored number that they spent on the video game, you know. So I don't doubt for a second that they are losing money. But how long are they going to be able to keep losing money? That depends on what the number is. It's going to depend on what his budget is. you know, if he has got if he's got an idea, if he's set himself like, if I lose 50 million, then, you know, that's what I'm willing to go to. And every year he's losing, say, 10, then unless he turns things around, he might have 5 years, right? But within that time period, he might also renegotiate a bigger TV deal, which might then mean that he's not losing 10 million in a year. He goes down to losing, say, 7. And so all of a sudden then he gains an extra year or 2. And so, you know, it could be that that's what he's kind of working on. Just, you know, I mean, I'm just picking numbers out of the sky here. But I'm just saying that that would be one way that he might be looking at it. And I don't know what it would take for him to be profitable. It might need some of those big kind of stadium shows, but that's going to be hard because he's got a lot of fatigue in America. So I wonder if he'll start thinking about doing more international shows. You know, this is where, could you do something big in, say, Australia? We know that he's got a lot of people from Japan on his card. Could he go to Japan and put on a big show in the Tokyo Dome and like draw like a big number from a Tokyo Dome? Obviously, he's already announced he's going to do Wembley again. So, you know, do you dip into the Australian market? 'Cause the chances are there ain't people from Australia going to Wembley. Chances are there ain't people from Japan going to Wembley. So, you know, could you do like a big show in Australia, a big show in Japan, a big show in Europe, the UK? Then would that mean that you're doing less big shows in America, and rather than doing lots of little shows, you do a big show in America, like you do a stadium show in America? And so what you're actually doing is you're starting to level up your pay-per-views so that you're not just doing arenas, you're doing stadiums, but you're doing them strategically, whereby they're kind of all over the world, which might take some of the pressure off America, because I think there is a lot of fatigue in the America market. It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. Seems like there's going to be a Sting segment, said Daniel, that's going to be big. Never see a segment like Sting address the fans before. Pretty sure it'll be him talking about retirement, unfortunately, says Daniel. Here is the thing, said, I don't think he could do Tokyo Dome. Wouldn't that be stepping on the toes of New Japan? Depends, doesn't it? Because as long as it's nowhere near the January show, then I don't think it would be a problem, because I think that you would pay it back, wouldn't you? I mean, you would obviously be in talks with New Japan if you was planning such a show. You would make sure that it was well away from Wrestle Kingdom, which I think is the only time they go there for Wrestle Kingdom in January. So if you book that show, say, I don't know, September, I think it's got a big roof, hasn't it? So, I mean, you could go quite late into like the winter months. So, you know, it could be like something similar to a Survivor Series where you go like November or October or something like that. You want to make sure you got a bit of distance between that show and the January show. You can, of course, even try and get some New Japan talent on to, you know, make sure that you're keeping them on board, and then you can pay it back in kind. So I don't know, New Japan, I'm sure they've got like a base in America, haven't they? They've got a bit of a promotion, isn't it, like New Japan Strong based in America? Could it be if they do a show in America that you'll provide some talent and give them the support they need? You know, you help us out with the show in Japan, and we'll help you out with a show in America where you can come over, we'll give you some of our talents, whatever it might be. So I think as long as they're kind of on board in the sense of they're aware that it's happening before it's announced, they are maybe given an opportunity to showcase some of their wrestlers on that card, and it's kept well away from like the Wrestle Kingdom date, I think it should be possible. That would be a conversation that I would, you know, if I was a booker, I'd be willing to have with a partner like New Japan, Because I would just explain the situation. I'm like, this isn't about trying to invade Japan. This isn't about us trying to come into Japan and take that market away. This is about us needing a big international hub for us to do this particular show, this show, which we will look to do as an annual thing, but that we're not looking to come in and take over Japan and, like, you know, take down New Japan. We're looking to just make sure that our big shows are drawing bigger crowds, because we do need that revenue. And, you know, we want to bring you on the show, blah, 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 blah. So I think they've got quite a good relationship, haven't they? I mean, they've done a couple of Forbidden Doors. That's got to be a good boost for New Japan. I mean, all of this exposure they're getting via AEW, I can only imagine that's been a positive for their business. So you'd have to ask the question as well, would New Japan want to rock the boat on that as well? Because I feel like they would have something to lose there, because at the moment their presence in America is being greatly helped by their relationship with AEW. Seth said, can we take a look at the cards? We can. Right, let's have a look, shall we, at the cards. It's not big. I mean, look at that. It's just a little thing that's on screen. So we've got Kyle Fletcher against Kenny Omega, which should be fine. I mean, Kenny. I like Kenny's singles matches, genuinely. I've said that's... When people ask me, like, what are the things that you like in AEW, I keep mentioning singles, Kenny matches, Bryan Danielson, Timeless Toni Storm, FTR, Swerve, Starks. Those are kind of the top end for AEW for me. So, Kyle Fletcher against Kenny Omega. Genuinely, Kyle Fletcher's not an opponent that I'd be doing cartwheels over seeing Kenny go up against, but it's still a singles Kenny match, and I can definitely get with that. Penta against Jay White. I like Jay White. I can't stand Penta, but I like Jay White. I like his wrestling. I was a fan of what he was doing. I wasn't a big fan at first, but he did win me over when he was over in New Japan. When he came in, there was quite a bit of hype when he kind of started his real run in New Japan and coming off Excursion. He had quite a lot of hype around him as the Switchblades. And I remember watching him and I was like, he's good, but he's not of the standard of an Okada or a Naito, or I wasn't watching his matches and like really losing my mind in the way that I would with those other guys. So, but as time went by, I think he obviously settled in, got more comfortable, had some great matches, and definitely started getting more on board with him. And honestly, when he came into AEW, I thought it was a big sign-in for them. And I think it will still prove to be a big sign-in for them. It's just took a bit of time to really get going. And I think also he's been hidden away a little bit over on Collision. So it's good that he's on this show. He's taken on Penta in a singles match. I like Jay White. As I said, I'm not a fan of Penta. It's not a style of wrestling that I enjoy. But I could watch it. I'll watch it. We'll see how it goes. If it's going to be more Penta match, then I might struggle with it. If it's going to be more a Jay White match, I might enjoy it. If it's going to be somewhere in the middle, it might be acceptable for me. But yeah, okay, we can work with it. Let's put it that way. Then we've got Sting addressing the fans. So yeah, as was pointed out earlier, there are rumors that this could be Sting announcing a retirement, or at least talking about him working towards a retirement. I always think, though, when it comes to these things and you have these sorts of rumors swirling around, that someone will interfere. So it might be that he comes out and he's going to announce his retirement, but I'd be fairly confident someone would interrupt it. And then, maybe that leads to a final match or a final feud or something along those lines. I mean, he's going to have to call it quits at some point, isn't he? In all fairness. But yeah, I did see a few tweets doing the rounds on that and questioning if this was what his announcement was going to be. So we'll see. We'll see. Timeless Toni Storm. Now, I saw she's doing something about a new film, right? Which is obviously not going to be a real film. It's just going to be a little short thing. I can't even read what that says, but I did read some earlier about her doing the premiere of her new film. Right now, I don't know what that is, but I am so here for that. That if there was nothing else on this show apart from her, that would be fine for me. I would quite happily watch 2 hours of Toni Storm because I find her to be very entertaining. I think what we're doing with her is very different. I love how she's presented on the poster here as well, like being in black and white with a little bit of red on the lips. It's all very noir. It's all like timeless Toni Storm. Obviously leans on that kind of old classic Hollywood. I mean, we were talking about this. There's so much you can do with it. You can do a talk show. You can change all the names of your moves so that they're all kind of Hollywood inspired and Hollywood themed. And it just opens it kind of up to like this whole new world of creativity. And I think it's been brilliant for her. And I think it must be showing in the ratings because they're really getting behind her as well. So looking forward to that, whatever it is. I'm sure that it might not be incredible. It might not be the greatest thing AEW have ever done, but I'm sure there's going to be at least something in there that's going to be humorous, that's going to be enjoyable, that we'll be able to take away from it. So, and it might even be that like this, we can see what she's trying to do and it doesn't quite land, but there could be something in there that she could latch upon. It's so exciting because it feels like it's a bit of a blank canvas for her. She's got this blank canvas to kind of do what she's doing at the moment, and there may be some strokes that just don't work. There might be, part of the picture might look a little bit off, but there could be some parts that really look like a masterpiece. And then she can pursue that. That's the direction that she can dial in on, and that's the stuff she can go down on. So there may be a little trial and error to this gimmick, but that's fine. We've seen that before 1,000 times, right? There's a lot of trial and error when it comes to wrestling. So I'm not expecting this to be like incredible, like we're going to be rolling on the floor in laughter kind of a thing. My expectation is that some of it might be a bit off, some of it might be a bit clunky, some of it might be a bit but I do think there'll be at least a few moments in there, at least, that genuinely are funny or genuinely are creative, that, she might be able to take the positives from, move forward, and then, create something a little stronger next time, a little something stronger after that. I'm excited for it. So, and this should suggest she's going to get some time as well, It doesn't suggest that this is just going to be a little thing. I mean, if it's her film premiere, then, I mean, that alone, I feel like she can have plenty of fun with. Then we've got Jim Ross sitting down with Nick Wayne and his mom. If AEW was a real wrestling promotion, then Jim Ross would be a little flirty with Nick Wayne's mom. And that would be amazing. If he was sat there and just the odd little compliment, just the odd little thing, and she was like, distressed about her son, but equally there's a little vibe going on there between these two. If this was a real wrestling company, that's what they would do. But I don't know. We'll have to see how this goes. I don't know how I feel about like people's moms being involved. Like, I'm not a fan of Sue. I know people love Sue and the van and all that kind of stuff. I just think it's not for me. I don't mind a bit of like silly stuff, but like sometimes she gets involved at like really brutal, like hard hitting moments, and at times where you just don't want that silly comedy. I don't know, man. I mean, Nick Wayne, last time I saw him, he did a big turn. Right, he betrayed and turned his back on like Darby and everything. He's aligned now with Christian. His mom was shocked in the crowds. Like, all joking aside, I don't know how you're going to pitch this. Don't know how that segment's going to go, because it could really come across as like quite phony. And I sort of feel like this story with Adam Copeland and Christian and everything, it's a very important story, and you need to make sure that you're hitting the right tone. So, yeah, tricky. We're going to have to see how they play it. It's going to be tricky. Because this would suggest, like with his mom being involved, that it's going to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek, and she might not be... Because she's just a mom. I mean, I think that is his actual mom. So I don't know that she's got like the acting chops to like be able to carry anything juicy. I don't know that she's got the skills to actually be able to deliver anything of like real substance. I mean, as far as I know, she can just do a few reactions from the barricades. Like her actually sitting down and like doing a promo to all intents and purposes could be a bit of an ask here for someone that I don't know has got the right level of training to be in this position. So, I don't know. I really can't wait for that segment, because it could be a dumpster fire, but equally, you know, if they keep it like short, sweet, she just doesn't say a great deal, and she just looks really disappointed. And maybe Nick Wayne is like berating her and she's just there getting upset or something. Maybe it could be great. I'm interested to see how it plays out. I really am. So I know a lot of people might look at that and go, not bothered, right? For me, I'm like, that's got disaster written all over it. I'm quite interested to see how that plays out. This feels like one of those segments where, like, do you remember when Jim Ross interviewed Nick Wayne's mom? And it was just absolute car crash television. It's got that vibe to it for me, but we'll have to see. And then Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal. Winner faces MJF for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. So there we go, a battle royal for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. I did see the graphic for this, and it showed that MJF had won in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. Now, I don't think he won the battle royal. I think the winner of the battle royal then faces MJF, who's got the ring, and I think MJF has just managed to win that match every year. So it could be that, I don't know, Powerhouse Hobbs wins it this year, and then he'll face MJF. MJF wins that match, and so MJF is the winner of this year, right? So I don't think it's that he's won the Battle Royal every year. It's a weird way of doing it, isn't it, really? You'd think they'd just do a Battle Royal, and the winner of the Battle Royal would get the ring. But the way they do it is you win the Battle Royal, and then you get a match against the guy that's got the ring, and that is MJF. So... honestly, I don't know who's in it. I mean, we could try and predict a few names as to who's gonna win it, but I haven't seen any lineups or anything, so I don't know who's in it. So yeah, we'll again have to wait and see. There's a lot of waiting and seeing tonight. But that's it. Normally we have like tons of stuff, but actually since they've started doing Collision, these previews haven't been as big. They haven't been quite as juicy as they used to be before Collision came along. And so now, you know, rather than us getting, say, 8 things or 9 things, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. So, yeah, there's still going to be segments that obviously that take place that aren't on this graphic. This is just the top end of the card for tonight. But I think there's enough there. I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, the Sting thing's going to be interesting. Kenny singles match will be good. Toni Storm will be good. Jay White Penta, as I've said, you know, it depends how that goes. Nick Wayne's mom could be a disaster. The Battle Royal thing is a pretty juicy thing that we do once a year. And, you know, who doesn't love a Battle Royal? I mean, Battle Royals are just fun, aren't they? Easy, fun. So, yeah. Card-wise, I think it looks all right, actually. I think it looks all right. So, I am with that. So far, so good. Brianna, shout out to you. I hope you are well. Did you hear about DirecTV posting a message on TVs in the Jaguar Stadium telling them to pay their bill? No, I didn't. That's pretty fun. I would imagine it's just an admin error, but it's a pretty funny thing to occur. Mr. Dell Jr. said, the Bloodline story is one of my favorite stories that WWE have done in decades. It's not as good as Austin Vince story or Triple H and Batista. Kashawn said, Juice Robinson is probably going to win the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal because of MJF's rivalry with Jay White. Good shout. Here is the thing said, would the Young Bucks bump up the ratings? Perhaps they can have a Ukes-style slobber knocker match and kick out of everyone's finishers. I don't think that they would massively do anything to the ratings. I do think that they are appreciated by the AEW fans, but I don't think they do much for bringing in eyes externally, right? So I think that this is your problem, really, is that you're trying to get those lapsed fans and even lapsed AEW. We've got a very small number of lapsed AEW fans now because, as we said, 13 times is not an insignificant number for AEW to hit 1 million on Dynamite last year. And now they are around 850. Now, you can definitely make the argument, and actually it'd be a very fair argument, that last year we didn't have Collision. And so that meant that the shows had everyone and everything, whereas now we're doing Collision as well. So, you know, if you want to be fair, then is it a case that you should be adding both Dynamite and Collision numbers together? Because now they are producing, like, rather than 1 million views, they are producing 800,000 for Dynamite and, say, 400,000 for Collision. So now they're doing 1.2 million views a week rather than 1 million, right? So it's not that they're doing 800,000. It's that they're delivering a lot more if you add in Collision. I don't know that it kind of works that way, but I mean, it would certainly be an argument, wouldn't it? It would certainly be an argument. I think it would be a very fair argument to say last year they had everyone available. This year, because of Collision, matches have to be booked for Collision. So some of your juicy matches that you would have had for Dynamite are now going over onto Collision. I think that would be fair. I don't know when did Collision start though, because let's have a look. Collision start date, because it doesn't change. So Collision started on June 17th. It still doesn't explain the first 6 months of this year, right? So I think it's a fair argument. I think that a hardcore AEW fan could definitely come in and stake that claim and make that point. But my counter to it would be that Collision started on June 17th. So what's the explanation for the first 5-6 months of the year where we still wasn't seeing Dynamite hitting 1 million and where things still felt pretty stagnant and flat, you know? So I feel like it's unavoidable that there's clearly an issue. It's unavoidable that there's clearly a malaise that's kind of snuck into AEW. They can shake that off, though. They just need good stories. They just need juicy stories that people genuinely care about and talk about positively on social media, and things that will bring those lapsed fans back in again, you know? And I think Adam Copeland is definitely what they're pinning their hopes on with that. And don't forget as well, potentially not that far down the road, we can parachute in a Mercedes Moné. You know, if you bring in Mercedes, that is another great opportunity to bring in a load of fans that maybe aren't watching AEW at the moment. And a load of those ex-Sasha stans who may check out AEW for the first time. You've just got to make sure that when they do, they like what they see and they stick around. So, you know, there is some stuff to be optimistic about. There are some things that potentially are positives that are on the horizon. And as we said, you know, Adam Copeland's only just got started. And not that far down the road, I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing a Mercedes Moné. So Yeah, again, you know, there are some shoots. There are some shoots. It's just we've seen these shoots before. We've seen green shoots before, and they haven't been growing. Someone's been coming along and trampling on them. Normally CM Punk, which has kind of really stopped the company from reaching the heights that it should have. Because obviously last year with the brawl and everything that happened at Brawl Out, then that kind of meant that he got suspended. The Elite got suspended. That massively damaged their appeal. Because, you know, CM Punk's a massive draw, as is Kenny Omega and the Bucks. Rip that away. You're ripping out the heart and the face of the company. So, of course, that was going to be a problem last year. And then when they came back, and when he came back, he wasn't back that long, was he? I mean, I don't know how many months it was, but it didn't feel like it was that long until we had the Wembley incident, and then it all got flipping derailed again. So we've had green shoots in the past, but they haven't been developing. But maybe now that he's gone, maybe now, hopefully, the drama may have left as well. And I'm sure there's still going to be backstage problems because there was before he was around. So I'm sure there's still going to be backstage problems, but maybe not with the same intensity and maybe not to the same level. And that might mean now that we can really start to get somewhere with some of these opportunities like Adam Copeland, like if Mercedes comes in. Hopefully Toni can continue to develop and she can go on to be like, you know, a bigger star. I mean, she certainly has got my attention. You know, she's certainly someone that when the cards is available, I'm looking to see if she's going to be on the show. So I don't think that I would be alone with that. I think that she is definitely something they've got that it's simple in it. At the end of the day, just put on stuff people enjoy watching. Simple. And I think genuinely people do enjoy watching her. So that could develop into something bigger and better as well. So yeah, we'll see. Mitchell said, with Raw open for TV contracts and Nick Khan saying they're open from move-in nights, do you think that they will move? What if they decide to move Raw to Wednesdays against AEW? I think they will move. Yep. I think they absolutely will move. I don't think WWE don't really care about anything other than the number, right? How much money they're going to make. If they go up against AEW, they won't care. That won't bother them in the slightest. The only thing they'll be interested in is how much are you going to pay us to come to your network? If I don't know how much they get for Raw at the moment, but if, like, I don't know, at the moment, say USA Network pays them $400 million, right, a year for Raw, and then another company wants to pay them $600 million. We've said before, if they go up against AEW, then there may be a decline in the rating because there will be some fans that watch both, and them fans will have to make a decision, and some people will choose AEW. What we don't know is whatever platform they go to, is it a bigger platform, a more vibrant platform? Could it actually provide better traffic? So without even doing anything, would their base number be improved? So if they stay on USA Network, we know they're going to do, say, 1.7 million, 1.8 million viewers, maybe down to 1.6 because we are seeing a decline. So maybe 1.6, 1.7, something like that for Raw. But if they go to Amazon Prime, what's that number going to look like? We don't know is the answer. I mean, using things like NFL, I've been told by people that when NFL went onto a streaming platform, it saw a decrease. So actually, that's not very encouraging. It would suggest that WWE may go to a streaming platform and may actually fall. It might go from a 1.6 down to a 1.4 or a 1.2. So obviously that would be a problem. Then if they move nights as well and go up against AEW, that would only hurt them further because, as I said, some people will be watching both and some will choose AEW over Raw. And so that might hurt them further. All of this is for them to sit down and decide, you know, what's the expectation on the rating that the company has got, and is that something that can be delivered? How much money are they getting paid? Because if there is going to be a decline in rating, there will be a decline in overall business. There needs to be a monetary value put on that decline. So how much value does 100,000 viewers to Raw have from a monetary point of view? Like, how many of those people are going to buy tickets? How many of those people are going to buy merch? How many of those people are going to be subscribed to Peacock? How many people of those people are going to be watching that maybe won't be watching your WrestleMania show or whatever? Like, what's even just a rough ballpark figure? What's the monetary impact of that 100,000 people, right? Because once you find that out and you've got a rough number, if your projections say that you're actually going to decrease by 300,000, you would take that number, that projection, times it by 3, and then you've got a rough ballpark as to how much you need compensating for going to that platform. But I mean, we're talking super in-depth, way above our pay grades kind of data-driven numbers, you know? It's without that information and without being a part of that kind of fact-finding mission, I mean, we're just pulling numbers out of the sky. What I can say, though, is would they go to Wednesday? They'll go to Wednesday, they'll go to Sunday, they'll go to Saturday, they'll go to the moon, they'll go wherever you want them to go if you're going to pay them the right amount of money. If that number is the correct number, then they will go there. If they're getting paid at the moment 400,000 and projections are that their viewers are going to decrease by 300,000 people, but this new platform is going to pay them double, it's going to pay them 800,000, then they're going to listen to that. They're going to more than listen to that. I'd imagine they'll sign that contract. So I know people, you'll have this argument of like, is it worth it? Because, you know, if they go to this platform, it's not going to be as big. There's going to be a decrease in viewership. Listen, if they're the smart business people that they claim to be, that will be factored in. That will be taken into consideration. And the number that they're getting should more than compensate for any sort of decrease that they're going to see in viewership. Now, you can say then, well, that's going to be a problem because when they move again, like, are they going to be able to bring those fans back? Are they going to be able to go to another network and improve those numbers? But I mean, that's hard, isn't it? I mean, you can't really answer that. But I think the truth is that if you're booking a good show that's got like a good storyline, good champion, and is really engaging, then yes, you should be able to pick up numbers again. I mean, we've been in a real down spell a few times, and we've managed to pick the numbers back up. You know, think about where they were in '95 compared to where they were in '98. And 99, like the business saw a massive upswing. The business saw a big boom as we like went into the Attitude Era. So we know that we can go from a low base and get to a better place. It's been done. So yeah, it's possible to do that. It's possible to like have so-so ratings and then, you know, see an explosion and, you know, get great ratings, but it's hard as well. It's very, very difficult. And that would also need to be taken into consideration. So, all right, you can take the hit now for this, but what about if after this we go back to the USA Network and we need to try and, you know, get back to a higher number? Like, can we do that? Can we get that upswing? I mean, to be honest, that's where USA Network would then have to put like work in, wouldn't they, with their promotion? WWE would have to really look at how they're getting their product out there. They're massively benefited by having some of the biggest social media platforms going, aren't they? They've got like one of the biggest YouTube channels, one of the biggest Twitter accounts. I mean, that's you know, their presence in people's lives is pretty strong considering the strength of their social media. So, and that's only going to get stronger in it. So I think they'd be all right. I think that would be all right. But obviously, again, you'd want to see what work would go into that sort of a presentation. Tony should befriend a bunch of celebs so that they could attend with their friends and fill the seats, said King Kinshasa. Godfather's host said, Days, I'm rolling up that rated R Rasta, always dranked, completely lifted. Is Adam gonna challenge Cage tonight for a match at Full Gear? What naughty words will be said? F words, S words, A words, RIPFU. I don't know. I didn't see last week's show, and I don't watch Collision, so I will be the first to admit I'm out the loop. I really don't know where we are with certain stories, and I really don't know kind of what we're building towards. But last time on AEW Dynamite that I saw, we was certainly building towards an Adam Copeland Christian Cage match. So I would imagine that we've just been still working our way towards that. So yeah, I mean, I feel like we definitely need someone on the show tonight that's going to send out a shockwave. We need something tonight that's going to grab attention, and for the right reasons. I mean, we haven't even spoke about the quarters thing debacle. So, you know, clearly they need to move away from that. And not reference that again. But we could do with something that's going to really grab attention and get fans talking. And that kind of an announcement that Adam Copeland and Christian Cage are going to have a match at Full Gear, that could be quite interesting. So, yeah, I would be down for that. Dort Knight said, in the scope for having segments out in local cafes or libraries with links to the book, maybe put support local artists. Is there scope for having segments out in local cafes and libraries with links to the book, maybe put support local artists? Sunny, hello, shout out to you. That feels like it's Sunny related. Yeets! We got some yeeting. Yeets! Live ratings are more valuable than DVR users. Live viewers can't fast forward adverts, says Here Is the Thing. That is true. Big Time said, Days 798 for NXT with 4 women's matches is pretty darn good. No Becky or Dom. Halloween Havoc will be a big draw. Do you know what? I didn't see the NXT ratings. Didn't see them. What did I say? I said 740, 770. What did it come out at? 798. Yeah, I was off. I can't claim any dubs there. But, yeah, I agree. I don't know about the 4 women's matches. I don't know. I'm still not sold on women's matches not being a draw. I mean, I'm sure there is some data that probably suggests that is the case. But I'd like to see the argument for that. I'd like to see the data that backs that up, right? Because I'm not going to say that it's not true. I would like to think it's not true, and I don't know the data that supports that idea that women's wrestling is not a draw. I could understand badly built feuds, which unfortunately the women suffer from a lot. I could understand that not being a draw, but actually women's wrestling in particular, I don't know. I'd like to see the data on that. But either way, I mean, look, just 798 for NXT is fantastic, considering that there wasn't really any big names that was announced. You know, you had there was no Becky that was announced. There was no Undertaker. There was no John Cena or any of that. They did announce Baron Corbin, but I don't believe him to be a major ratings draw. We had the Bada Boom, Bada Bing Battle Royal. We had Tegan Nox. Maybe Tegan Nox is a draw, taking on Lyra Valkyria. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's a great number. I mean, are we actually learning that if you hotshot for a few weeks, that maybe once you stop hotshotting, it doesn't just go down? Because what you've done is you've sort of forced people to get into the habit of watching on a Tuesday night. We've said that people are creatures of habit, like humans, people that they like to have a schedule. So if you get them people to tune in to Tuesday enough times, and maybe then they'll find something else on the show that they enjoy, eventually, if you don't hotshot, after hotshotting for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it might be, if you don't hotshot, do people then just naturally watch the show? Like, do you just naturally convert them? Are we really just like sheep that just follow around and just like, this is what I'm doing now? I don't know. That's really interesting. That could be really interesting. Because it could be the case, because I agree, there wasn't really anything that I saw that made me go, yeah, this is going to be a big number. I actually thought the card looked fairly average. Right, we're going to start with Penta. I'm all right with this. Get it done. I don't know if it's a good idea for ratings, but it's a good idea for me. Penta against Jay White. Might be all right. Let's see how it goes. Penta versus Jay White. Is it Jay? It's a few different ways of spelling Jay, isn't there? Is it J-E? No. See, like Jay Uso is with an E. This is that way. AJ. Do we get the first 30 minutes of Dynamite commercial free? I haven't seen an announcement of that, so I don't think so. I'll have a look. A stacked AEW starts in 30 minutes. There is a rated... Oh, there's a couple more things they've announced. A rated R rebuttal. Adam Copeland's rated R rebuttal to Christian Cage. And we've also got Hikaru Shida against Emi Sakura in the world title eliminator match, student versus teacher. So I'm guessing that if Emi Sakura wins that, she gets a shot at the championship. World title eliminator match. Right, so Penta goes launching at the Bang Bang Gang, and they go down. Yeah, I can't see anything about it being commercial free, so I don't believe so. I think that was just for last week. As we were engaging in a war. Okay. WrestleTix said 4747 tickets distributed. Strange number. I don't know. Is it a strange number? I suppose it's a fun little number, isn't it? 47 twice. It's pretty fun. This is another match that if you're not familiar with independent wrestling, then you wouldn't know these guys, says Kirby. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, actually. I don't disagree with that. I don't know that this is a good way to start the show from a ratings point of view, but because it does lead me back to what we said earlier about, like, on SmackDown, they'll open with a massive star, set up the show, set up the main event, revisit them throughout the show. But we don't do that in AEW. With AEW, we just try and do like a opening banging match, you know? Which, you know, credit to them for trying to start off a wrestling show with a banging wrestling match. But I don't know that that's doing their ratings any good. But they have more data than we have access to. So if they feel that this is the way forward, no one wants AEW to succeed more than Tony Khan. So if he feels that this is the right way forward, then so be it. I do like the standee. I don't think I've seen that before. I know they've brought it down, but I don't remember it being set up at ringside like this. So it's actually set up at ringside, and we keep sort of seeing him in the corner of the screen, which is pretty fun. Rated R rebuttal coming up tonight. Sign in the crowd. Jay White wishes he was MJF. Crowds are vocal. Would AEW ratings go if they had Jim Cornette as an on-screen character? I feel like yes. I feel like they would, because I feel like Jim's got a big presence in the online wrestling community. And I think that if he was active in any promotion now, he's got a big fan base. I mean, they claim, because I don't know that we get to see their podcast numbers, but they claim that the number of people that tune into their show, I think they probably add in their YouTube views as well, which you can see those numbers, and those numbers are very, very good. So they claim that they are pretty much getting the same number of views as what Dynamite gets, if not more, on a consistent basis. So you've got to think that not all of them are tuned into AEW. So yeah, you would think that that would be the case. But the problem is that would you actually drive away a few AEW fans? Would you upset your core fan base by bringing him in? Because he's been very anti-AEW. And don't forget, a lot of people not a lot, but there are a subsection of Jim Cornette fans that are going to be very anti-AEW, that are going to be very vocal about being anti-AEW. So a lot of these AEW fans have probably clashed with the cult of Cornette online. So now if you're going to bring him in, it really is going to leave a bad taste in the mouth to some of these hardcore AEW fans. They're not going to want him anywhere near this company. So you do run the risk of upsetting your core fan base. But I think it would result in, I mean, it would be fireworks. You know, you're kind of dropping a nuclear bomb off in the middle of your promotion. You're bringing in one of it's like when Bischoff got brought into WWE. It would be similar. He tried to tie him to the ropes, but he couldn't do it, unfortunately. It wasn't a well done knot, said Taz. So Jay White tries to tie Penta to the rope, but unfortunately, he can't tie a knot. Hurls Penta into the corner. So, yeah, I think there would definitely be pros and cons to it. But I think there would be a lot of intrigue as well. You know, if you heard that Jim had signed with AEW and he was coming to sort it out, man, who's not tuning into that show to see what he's going to do, you know? And what he's going to say. And that would definitely get ratings at the start. It would settle down like most things do, of course. Right, people are still on their feet here as Switchblade is in control. Michael, should Tony bring in Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff for a AEW ratings booster? I don't think so. I think that I don't think that Eric Bischoff would boost numbers. His online presence isn't as great as his 52 weeks, 58 weeks, 53 weeks, whatever it's called. That's not generating the same numbers as like the Cornette one. And I think that, you know, is certainly a name from the past that people are aware of, but I don't see that generating much numbers. Hogan's different. Hogan, massive name. You know, from you know, the 80s, the 90s, the noughties. I mean, but the problem is his reputation has been absolutely decimated. He is not in people's good books, and I don't know, bringing them in would feel very TNA, wouldn't it? That's how it would feel to me. So I sort of feel like you could, I don't even think you could get Hogan, because I'm pretty sure he's under a Legends deal, and he's tied up, so I don't think you could get Hogan anyway. But if you could, I honestly don't know how much of an impact that would have, because His reputation's not good. I think him coming in would be... There is real value in intrigue. And, of course, Hogan coming in would be intrigue. And it'd be interesting to know how are they going to use him. What's he going to say about WWE? And so I've no doubt that first number would be strong. But to be honest, I don't think bringing people in is the right way forwards. What you need is stories that are going to bring people back. Just bringing people in ain't going to cut it. You need people to keep tuning in week after week after week. The Cornette one's good because you're going to get a big boost. But equally, if he's like a GM, you're going to have constant friction. And that constant friction week after week after week with Cornette, like, telling certain stars, like, could you imagine a segment with Cornette? Cornette confronts the Young Bucks, right? Can you imagine that segment? Cornette confronts Kenny Omega. Like, you've got week after week after week of content there that's really compelling. So the Cornette one, I think, is actually really interesting. But you do have the flip side of that coin, which is you're going to really upset the AEW hardcore fans. So you're gaining fans, but there is a chance that you could be losing some as well. It's tricky. It's balancing act. It's tricky. But I don't know, yeah. Hogan, I think you get the intrigue, but really after that, I mean, he ain't going to be able to wrestle, is he? And his reputation is not that strong at the moment, so... Penta goes over the top. We've just come back from commercial break. Comes crashing down onto Jay White. Jay White should be forced to give back the title to MJF, said Gerald's. Cheap, fast pop's not going to build it, said MK. I agree. I think that's a lesson that hopefully has been learnt. We did see at the start lots of those pops where we were bringing in lots of surprises. We don't tend to do that now, and that's for the best. It's about what stories can you tell using that talent. Jay White on his feet, Penta on his feet. Chopped there by Jay. I hate this spot. Why do they always do this spot? Why is this a spot they always do? Why do they exchange these chops? Why has this become a thing? I feel like it's a very, like, Japanese thing, and obviously a lot of these have, like, Jay's come from over in Japan, these exchanging of chops, this, you take my chop, I'll take your chop stuff. I just find this dull. I find this really boring. Watching these two, like, chop each other. I don't think I've ever seen any exchanges here where neither guy has not been able to take it. Maybe it'd be good if, like, someone fell down and was, like, clutching their chest and got pinned. 1, 2, 3. But this spot is always, I'm going to chop and you're going to take it. And you're going to look a little bit in pain. But you'll take it, and then the match will just carry on after this. And we see this time after time after time after time. And here we go. Now the match continues. Jay going against the ropes. Penta picks him up, puts him on his shoulder. Drives him down. That was a lovely little move. 1, 2. Would have been a lovely finish, that. Lovely by Penta. Loads of people around ringside as well. Obviously, you've got that. Is his name Alex, the one that's with Penta? And then you've got the Bang Bang Gang. Package pile driver, but no joy. Goes through a clothesline. Uranagi. Beautiful. Going for... I thought he was going for the cover, but instead he grabs the mask. He picks him up. Is he... Looking for a suplex. Got him up. Yep. 1, 2. Shoulder up. Yeah, probably not going to win it with the suplex. Some of the crazy moves they've been hitting, probably not going to win it with a suplex. Match continuing. Obviously, we've still got Adam Copeland's Rated R rebuttal coming up tonight. Kick coming into the midsection. It's caught Dragon Screw. You know, when they do moves like Dragon Screws and nice little suplex. When they do these moves, they execute them really well. Blade Runner couldn't get it. Oh, lovely driver. Shoulder up. Wrestle Andy, I feel like Jim Cornette should still be a manager somewhere, either in AEW or WWE. Imagine him managing Omos. Yeah, I definitely, but I don't think he wants to. I think he's quite happy doing what he's doing because he can stay at home, and he's been very vocal about wanting to just stay at home. So, but saying that, I don't know if anyone's given him an offer to try and coax him out of his house. But I completely agree. He's always been a great talker, and I think there's so many wrestlers that really need that mouthpiece. As you said, Omos. Could you imagine him with Omos? I think that's a perfect example. Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. It's a victory for Jay White. Still to come, we have got Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal. Mitchell said, I don't think Cornette would bring ratings. Modern wrestling fans and channels don't like him, and he got ran out of Ring of Honor for slapping a talent. Well, I don't know that it's true that modern wrestling fans don't like him, because his ratings are huge. I mean, his YouTube channel is massive. There are people that have an issue with him. But the question would be, would he bring in more eyes than he would lose? It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. Would he bring in more eyes than he would lose? I think the answer is yes for the start. Once it's settled down, then that would be interesting. Imagine if he was like GM of Collision. MJF is not here, apparently. I'm a real world champ. I'm a truly elite world champion, said Jay White. The Bang Bang belt. I don't mind that. The Bang Bang belt. You can always pay off your Gimp squad again. So they have issued a challenge for like some sort of tag match. It's Juice. So he said, spoiler, Juice Robinson's going to win the Dynamite Dozen Douchebag Battle Royal. He says he's got a better... He's entertaining, isn't he? He said he's got a better ring than the one that MJF has got, and it came from TJ Maxx, $24.99. If that is true, that's a good deal, isn't it? Can you really get like a nice ring like that for $24.99? We've got 2 words for you. Guns up. Do you know what? Entertaining little promo. I have not heard them refer to it as the Bang Bang Belt. I like that. I like Juice. I find him endlessly entertaining. I definitely think it's a great advert for TJ Maxx. You know, they've got to be giddy with excitement at the fact that people are now going to go to their website browsing for rings. Oh, here's MJF. MJF is backstage. Bullet Club Gold just called you out. I'm not a good guy. I'm a scumbag. I could have run out there and got my ass handed to me, but I'm not a good guy. I'm a scumbag. I was just at New York Comic Con, and there's so many people that reminded me of you. Frail losers walking about with belts, cosplaying as champions. It's a good line. See, that's the MJF that I miss. You know, saying that he's just seen a load of losers walking around cosplaying as champions, just like you, Jay White. We've got the Acclaimed. MJF closes the scissors. I don't know what's happening now. What's this? Are we doing like a Max Caster's got a crush on MJF thing? Okay. Has AEW ever had a world title change on Dynamite? Says Defcon Pirate King Jack. Don't know. Honestly, don't know. I would have to guess so. We can have a look because we can easily look at the history of AEW's championship, and that'll tell us where it's changed hands. AEW World Title history. That's what we're after. Kenny Omega became champ from Jon Moxley on Dynamite. Winter is coming. Jon Moxley also was champ on just a Dynamite, but what is this? Defeated CM Punk to determine the undisputed champion. AEW officially recognized this as the start of Moxley's second reign. So... oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, right. So CM Punk was champ. CM Punk got suspended. Then we had Jon Moxley become the interim champ. He was interim champ for 59 days. And then he beat CM Punk. He beat CM Punk for the championship. So his second reign began from Dynamite in August. So according to this, Chris Jericho was the first champ at All Out. Then Moxley was beat him at Revolution. Kenny won at Dynamite. Winter is coming. Then it was Hangman at Full Gear. CM Punk at Double or Nothing. Moxley, interim champ, Forbidden Door. Moxley, properly Dynamite. CM Punk, All Out. Belt was vacated. Moxley, from the end of last year, Dynamite, Grand Slam. I mean, Grand Slam is still a Dynamite, isn't it? It's just a big Dynamite. And then MJF, Full Gear. So MJF he's been champ. Do you know what? MJF has been champ for 330 days. The record is Kenny Omega, 346. MJF is only just over 2 weeks away from being the longest reigning AEW champion. Didn't know that. But I do now. November 19th, so we're a month away from him being champ for a full calendar year. So 346 is what he needs to beat, is on 330. But he is doing it Saturday. AEW's interim champ stuff is incredibly confusing, says Gerald. I don't mind it so much because we do have interim champions in UFC. So it does make the title history a little more confusing, though. I do agree. It would be cleaner if we didn't do that, but I don't mind it. If you've got a champion, if the person that's the top of your company is injured, but they're not going to be out for very long, they've just got an injury, they're going to be out for, say, a couple of months, rather than take the belt off them and put it on someone different, you can just have an interim champ, and then as soon as they return, you do the two champs against each other to establish who the real champ is. Like we do that in UFC. I can understand why we do it. Obviously, if the champ's going to be out for longer, like Thunder Rosa, who's, I mean, God knows how long she's been out for. But then, of course, you would take the title off them. But yeah, it's one of those that's debatable, isn't it, as to whether people like it or not. Some people don't mind it. Some people really don't like it. Hikaru Shida making her way down. She's going to be taking on Emi Sakura. Shida, of course, winning that championship from Saraya. Emi Sakura coming over, throwing in some kicks, and Shida going down. Emi Sakura grabbing that AEW Women's Championship, but it's snatched away from her by Aubrey as this match gets underway. Shida and Emi colliding into each other. Center of the ring at the moment. Chop coming in. Oh, we're not going to do this, are we? Oh, we're not doing this. No! I can't escape it. Ah! I hate interim champs, says James. Gerald said, overall under, is this match going to last 6 minutes? We might be chopping for 6 minutes. We're still chopping at the moment. Choppity chop. Quick chops. Tell you what, gotta say, Hikaru Shida's ring gear, pretty kinky, innit? You know, if you're a Thai fan, she's showing off a fair bit of. I hate this spot as well. Who did this in WWE? I remember Liv and someone. Was it Liv and Alexa? I think Liv and Alexa did that spot. Rolling rounds, both trying to pin each other, and they just end up rolling around the ring. Right, we've got shots coming in by Hikaru Shida. Kick to the head. Shida up on the middle rope. Missile drop kick misses. Emi Sakura with a drop kick that connects. She's got Shida by the hair. Shida over in the corner. Sakura charging over, collides into Shida. Shida goes down to her knees. She's grabbing a kendo stick, but throws it away. There's a let's go Shida chant as Sakura goes for a dragon sleeper, but she lets it go. Wardlow is in action tonight. We've still got to hear from Adam Copeland. I don't like Sakura. I just don't rate her. I know she's like the teacher, and I think she's trained quite a few of these women, but just don't find her very interesting. I'm glad that Adam Copeland is doing well in AEW, says Cody Rhodes. Notorious Burrin said, do you think AEW will keep the title on MJF to ensure he stays with the company? Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's part of it. They're trying to keep him sweet whilst they're negotiating new contracts. Maybe, yeah, it's not a bad shout. Maybe they are trying to do that. We've got Shida being held upside down at the moment and being presented to the crowd. So she's got her upside down into a backbreaker. That was nice. That was nice. I think the crowd appreciated that. There's a gentle applause. Standing on her hair. I don't even know what that was. She stood on the hair, and I think she tried to, like, twist the head, but Hikaru Shida didn't really react to it, so it just sort of looked like she jumped off of her hair. She stood on her hair, and then she seemed to jump off her hair. Chop coming in. Heavy chop there by Emmy. That was a sweet backbreaker, said Mitchell. That was dope, said Gerald's. Husnan, shout out to you, my friends. Remember when they made a big thing of the story that Sakura was taught Shida to wrestle? That was a few years ago, says Here Is the Thing. Yeah, it doesn't do it for me. I mean, I just think there's... I get it. I understand. I mean, you can't do, like, juicy women's matches, like, week in, week out. So, I mean... You're gonna do these kind of matches once in a while, and that's fine. But I would definitely. It's tricky, isn't it? Because I would keep this short. This isn't a match that's engaging me, and I really don't think it's engaging the crowd, judging by their reactions. They've been a hot crowd tonight, and I don't think this is one that's really got their attention. So I would keep it short, but. Yeah, the story is that, like, Hikaru Shida has struggled against Emmy, and I think they just said on commentary she's, like, never beaten her or something. Hikaru Shida is being tangled up in the ropes. She goes to the outside. Sakura with a chop. She's going to go against the ropes and collides into Hikaru Shida. Shida spills to the outside. And we going up the entrance ramp. She comes charging over, but not good. She did just stumble. She sort of tried to head scissor her into the edge of the ring, but it just didn't look that great. Missile drop kick. 1, 2. Oh, God, please be over. This one definitely feels like it should have been kept short. She's trying to pick up Emmy. Emmy, double underhooks. Roll up by Emmy. 1, 2. Reversed. Cover. 1, 2. Reversed. 1, 2. Picks up. 1, 2. No. Close, though. I think AEW's women's division needs some help. They've lost Jade, and Toni needs more opponents. Tony Khan should sign Dylan Dennis to boost the women's title picture. Well, the women actually fight, don't they? So Dylan Dennis, I don't think would be much use. Looking for moonsault, but no one home. Knee by Hikaru Shida. 1, and an immediate kick out by Emmy. Big shots coming in by Emmy, rolling through, rolling up Shida. 1, 2. Kick out by Hikaru. My dad and I used to create our own rosters for our own wrestling companies that consisted of Marvel characters. Would you be down to try it? We had created storylines. No. I don't watch Marvel, so that wouldn't be something that I would be able to do. Plus, also, that kind of, there's so much to talk about with actual wrestling. Like, there's so much going on in wrestling. There's not a need to, like, do fantasy booking, or not a need for me anyway. I used to do it when I was a kid with wrestlers, fantasy booking, of course. Thank God this match ended. That was not a good match, in my opinion. Hikaru Shida gets the victory. But yeah, when I was a kid, what I did was draw out like loads of wrestlers on a bit of paper, like, and I spent all day, like, you know, very basic. You know, I didn't have their faces looking amazing. Just real basic kind of, you know, the ring gear, tried to get their faces looking a little bit like them. And I must have done like 50 different wrestlers just on a bit of card, cut them out, created a little ring, and just had a great time. I mean, I had figures. I had figures, but, you know, I didn't have figures of everyone. They didn't make figures of everyone. So I did my own thing, and then, yeah, you know, did my own little matches and stuff with that. But those days are long gone now because I'm a boomer now. Hang on, we got Adam Copeland. Earlier today, Adam backstage with Renee. I don't understand what's happened. My idea of coming here was to end my career with Christian Cage. So he's talking about meeting Christian in 6th grade. Why didn't he ask him? I don't. Why didn't he ask him? We're getting all this history about Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Fine, but why didn't he just ask him before he came in? Look, I want to finish my career off with you. If I come in, can we do something together? And then he would have got an answer, wouldn't he? He would have had an answer. Rather than going, I wanted to end my career by coming in and like joining up with him, and that's not something that he wants, and I'm a bit confused about it. Well, yeah, why are you being such an arrogant douche? Like, he's got his own life that he's living. So we're just going through the backstory. Adam said that he believes Christian is the most underrated wrestler in the history of this business. He said that I had a rocket strapped to my back, and that minimizes the work that I've put into this. This is where AEW needs someone to review and edit promos and stories. Copeland could have talked to Christian before, and Cage brought him out, him in out of jealousy. Why does this need to keep repeating? He came here first, I get it. I don't want his TNT title. I don't want his spotlight. But you're taking his spotlight. What do you want? Adam Copeland said, I'm not going to fight him. Okay. Well, do you know what? I actually, I don't like what he was saying for most of that promo. I didn't mind the end so much because he said, I'm not going to fight him. And I don't know what's next for me now, right? But I've got no sympathy for you because you should have checked with him before you joined. And he said, I know that Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus are going to leave him, and I'll be there to pick him up when that happens. So there's obviously two ways that we can go now. We can either have Christian target him and edge Adam Copeland say, I'm not going to fight you, a la Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio. We can either go down that road, or we can go down the road where he does now leave them alone. And Adam Copeland goes off and kind of goes maybe down like a CM Punk road where he faces a load of people that he wants to face. And he goes down that road. And then when they do abandon Christian, he can be there to pick up the pieces. So there are a couple of paths that we can go down now. I don't know which way they'll go. I'm thinking it'll probably be the Rey Dominic Mysterio path where Adam Copeland's going to be like, I'm not going to fight you. But he keeps getting provoked, and then we do get the match. That would be my guess. But I kind of like the other way as well. I kind of like the other way. So, yeah, I think the reasoning is a bit weak. I think he's coming across as a bit moany and a bit whiny, and I don't know. The bulk of that didn't land for me, but don't mind the ending. Oh, what's happened to Toni there? Why is Toni falling over? Did Wardlow just cause Toni to fall over, or did Toni just fall over of his own accord? Did he do anything to warrant him falling over? Wardlow just got a squash win. Wardlow got a squash win. And Toni just went to have a word with him afterwards. I don't believe he said anything. And next thing I know, Tony's falling over. But I didn't see actually what happened to result in him falling over. I'd love to see a replay of that. Because it might have been that it might have been that he did do something, but it just didn't look like he did from what I was glancing at. He did hold up a wristband that said MJF though, so definitely looks like Wardlow is gunning for MJF. Talking of MJF, MJF is confronting Kenny. MJF looking to shake Kenny Omega's hands. Oh, he said 13 days. B words. He whispered it in his ear. So is that to do with how long he needs to... Because didn't we just look at that? And it's about that, isn't it? It's about that. Then he becomes the longest reigning champion. Is that what that's in reference to? Right. 47 minutes in. We're at a commercial break. We're about 10 minutes away. What's in 13 days? Is it the World Championship thing? He's on 330. Kenny Omega has got the record, and it's 346. So that's actually 16 days, unless this 330 is this 330 correct? Maybe it's just a few days out or something. It's really close to what we spoke about earlier. If he holds on to that title for another 16 days or so, he becomes the longest reigning AEW champion. Longest reigning AEW world champion. Kenny has got that record right now at 346. MJF is on 330. The difference is 16 days, not 13 days. Don't know. It would feel like that would make sense that would be what he's referring to, wouldn't it? I think it's 13 days till MJF has got his period. Oh, that'd be a wild thing for him to whisper in Kenny Omega's ear. That is regarding the longest title reign in AEW. He said 26 days the other week on Being the Elite in a little segment, says Daniel. It'll take days, another 13 days to figure what was on that TV on Raw, said Eric. Yeah, good point. Andrew said Halloween is in 13 days. Jay White, isn't Jay White the champ, said Oration Mind? No, he's just got the weirds. He's just got the belt. I'd be more interested in the story of Omega trying to keep his records rather than whatever this J feud is. It's 13, not 16. Tony did Steiner maths to work it out, said Crispy Crisp. What do you think Sting's major announcement will be? Well, the word on the street is retirement. I mean, it's hard to know what else he might be announcing, isn't it? You think for his age, that is where your mind goes, isn't it? Unless Tony is going to start using wrestlers to actually make, like, company announcements, but I doubt it. I doubt it. So if it's going to be Sting related, then yeah. Okay, we're back with Roderick Strong, Adam Cole. So Roderick gets some hot coffee. He spits it out. He's apologizing. Okay, now we're watching them make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I mean, it's got to be better than him just sitting at home, innit, I suppose. At least we're still using him when he's injured. I mean... It's not gone down well. I've not spoke to Max for weeks. I need to get surgery. Right, it's finally done. It's finally going. What's his socks? Are his socks Marina Shafir? Roderick Strong said he's gonna have to be nice to the scumbag. Right, what have we got now? We've still got Tony in the ring, and he's on his feet. That's good news. I want to know why he fell. Is it Sting? It's Sting. Oh, Don Callis. Wasn't expecting that. Oh, there we go. Don Callis. Boom. Don Callis making his way down. He did barge into him. I've got the clip here. He kind of shoulder tackled him. It was Ryan Nemeth who he beat as well, by the way, earlier. Right, here we go. We've got Powerhouse Hobbs. We've got Takeshita. We've got Don Callis. Don Callis, worse than Dallas? Right, what's he going to say? This wasn't on our little preview. Don. The Don Callis family made history. Chris Jericho has never been manhandled like he was last week. Will Hobbs broke Chris Jericho last week. Fight Forever advert. Who's still playing it? Play WrestleFest said here is the thing. Leon said Wardlow's going to take that Triple B off of MJF, and then MJF will go to WWE. Amy Jobson said, these trying to be funny segments make me wish that heel Cole was still a thing. Okay, so Hobbs is upset about something that happened from '98. Crowd are chanting, shut the F up. Is this like the third reboot for Hobbs? Yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't mind him in the Don Callis family, though. Will has a new family now. Did they follow up on who attacked Jay White? I don't think so. It's hard though, innit? Because I don't know if it was on like Collision or something, but I don't think they did. I ready for Rampage. It's my favorite show, says Brandon. Does the Diamond Ring count as a championship? Kinda. Making MJF a triple champion, asks Defcon Pirate King Jack Effect. Don't know that it counts as a championship. It's certainly an achievement. Crowd are chanting, shut the F up again. Kyle Fletcher screwed the Don Callis family. Is Fletcher. Quite tall, isn't he? Kyle Fletcher takes the microphone. I don't know what he's on about. Is this from last week? I'll prove to everyone that I don't need anyone's help. So it's going to be Fletcher against Kenny Omega. If you beat Kenny tonight, you and I might have an opportunity to discuss next week. Okay, so Don Callis family are, I think, exiting the ring, and I think that's probably going to set us up for Kyle Fletcher against Kenny Omega. Callis rubbed on Dom Dom to collect some of that heat, says King Kinshasa. Here's Kenny Omega. Here's Kenny Omega. Omega. Lots of pyro. There's the pyro budget. Dynamite singles record 17-1-1. That's interesting. 17-1-1. That's a pretty impressive Chucky costume that someone's got in it. It's my 60th birthday, lady in the front row. Right, Fletcher coming over, double axe handles and unloading on Kenny. And we're going to start this match. This is how we're getting from hour 1 into hour 2. Kenny and Fletcher. Here comes Twinkle Toes of the booking committee, said Travis. Kenny Omega. Picking the booking committee to win this one, said Travis. Okay, we've got Fletcher over by the ropes. Chop coming in there by Kenny. Kenny, again, going against the ropes, collides into Fletcher. Kenny goes down. I like Kenny singles matches. Fletcher throwing down some shots. I think they've just used that last segment to try and make this match even juicier, because I don't think too many people are going to know about Fletcher. So they've kind of just at least told us that, yeah, if he beats Kenny, we'll have a discussion. Don Callis has actually jumped onto commentary. Kenny, crossbody to the outside, lands on Fletcher. Fletcher goes down. Still to come, we've got Sting addressing the fans. We've got the Battle Royal as well. Oh, and yeah, do you know what? This has not been the greatest hour of my life, but I'm interested to hear what Sting's got to say. I'm interested in the Battle Royal. I'm interested in Toni Storm. So we might be eating good for this final 58 minutes. We might be eating good, and I'm quite happy to watch a Kenny Omega match. So I feel like what we've done is maybe just get stuff out the way that, I don't know, maybe wasn't that appealing. Wasn't that great? And now we might have a good hour here. Might have a good hour. Kenny goes into the barricades. Flops into that. I can't believe how good that Chucky costume is. They've done a really good job. It's probably like something you can buy quite easily in, like, you know, the supermarkets, the grocery stores, or wherever, or a Halloween store in America, but it looks really good. Fletcher grabbing Kenny, dragging him back into the ring. Kenny going over to the corner as Fletcher comes over. Kenny hurled over to the other side, goes into the turnbuckle, flips over, rolls through. Lovely. Hurricanrana as Fletcher goes to the outside of the ring. Kenny in control. Trying to figure out who's worse on commentary, said Travis. Excalibur or Don Callis? John said, I wonder if Sting is going to retire. No, I really don't think he'll just announce a retirement tonight and that'll be it. Like, if he's going to announce his retirement, I would imagine he'll announce his retirement match and say that he'll wrap it up at Full Gear or something like that. Like, I'd be really surprised if he comes out and said, that's it. I'm done, you know? But him saying, I've got one more in me, or maybe coming out saying I'm done, but then someone interrupts. Because I think if you're going to do a last match, you're going to want the fans to know it's the last match, and you're going to want that applause. You're going to want that moment, aren't you? You know, like Ric Flair got at WrestleMania 24. You're going to want that for Sting. I can't imagine he's going to be like, I'm done, thanks, bye. So, a retirement match I could definitely see. You keep saying no one will know this person. The AEW fans will, and that's the product. AEW doesn't have to be for casuals. No, but it'd be good if it was, wouldn't it? It'd be good if they could improve their ratings. I mean, everything's for AEW fans. AEW fans are going to enjoy the show regardless. So you've got to put stuff in that's going to explain things to casual fans. AEW fans enjoying it is just a given. AEW fans would have liked that Adam Cole nonsense that we just had to sit through. You've got to make this appealing to casuals, otherwise you ain't going to go anywhere. Your company's going to just dwindle in the ratings, and it'll be done in a few years. We've still got that potential disaster as well of Jim Ross with Nick Wayne and his mom. I'm strangely looking forward to that as well. Just because I really don't know if we can lean on her to deliver a promo and if she's really going to be able to set the right tone. She could be great and she might do a great job, but there is also a chance of it being an absolute disaster. So we've got that coming up in the next 54 minutes as well. Still to come, the Dynamite Dozen ring. The pace of this has slowed, but I think that's probably because we're at like picture-in-picture or something. We are back in the ring now as Kenny goes back to the corner. Kick coming in there by Kenny. Sling Blade as Fletcher goes down. Boomers said Jade Cargill has been spotted at the new WWE headquarters. She's getting around, man. She's everywhere. She's all over this company more than Vince McMahon. Kenny getting up in the corner. Nice Polish hammer. Down goes Fletcher by Kenny. Kenny went for another one. Kick to the midsection. He's got him up on his shoulders. Rolls forward, flips over, goes up top, looking for moonsault, but no one home. Goes up over the top to the outside. Moonsault to the outside. Down goes Fletcher. Omega should be champ again, said King Kinshasa. Him versus Cage for it would be reason to finally take AEW as serious as a WWE program. Real Kyle said they're number one on Wednesdays in the ratings. TV companies are the ones that give TV deals. They've been around for 4 years now. They can continue. Yes, but the ratings are going to decline unless they bring in new viewers. Like, you'd be an idiot to think that they don't want to attract casual fans. Do you really think this is a closed club and that they're not trying to bring in new viewers? Do you really honestly believe that's the case, and that if that is the case, that that's going to be good for business long term? Of course it isn't. It's a silly thing to say. Of course it isn't. They can't just sit with the 800,000 that they've got and just survive on that, because that is going to decline and it's going to dwindle. You've got to bring in new viewers. So, like, people that watch the show might know who Fletcher is, but he's not a big name. If you don't watch the show, he's not a big name. So them using that segment before to just put a little extra into this match, so that if you don't know who he is, you know that at least there's some at stake here, because Don Callis has got a relationship with him. If he wins, he's going to have a conversation with him next week. You know, that's good from a storyline perspective, but it's also good from a casual fan perspective, because it's not the biggest name, is it? You know, this isn't Kenny taking on John Moxley. This isn't Kenny taking on Bryan Danielson. The fact that they're like number one on a Wednesday and that's, you know, that's good enough. I mean, come on. They've got to attract casual fans. They've got to. Otherwise, you know, why bring in Adam Copeland? You've already got your 800,000. Why bring in Mercedes Monet? Why bring in Adam Copeland? Why bother doing anything like that when you can just run with the roster that you've got? I mean, you sign Adam Copeland because you want to attract those WWE fans that were watching him when he was Edge over in WWE. You know, if you want a bigger TV contract, then you need to show that you've got good ratings so that other TV companies come in and start bidding for your product. If your TV ratings are going to start declining, there's not going to be as much competition. And then you can get lowballed by the company, you know, because what options are there? What are the alternatives? You know, this is all about attracting viewers. This is all about the ratings. And they've got to do whatever they can to try and pick those ratings up. I mean, Honestly, I don't think there's any AEW fans that would disagree with that. I don't think there's any AEW fans that would say that's not a wise thing to be doing. Reverse Rana by Kenny. Powerbomb to Fletcher. Kenny against the ropes. Knee strike. Fletcher goes down. 1, 2. Shoulder up. They're trying to bring in viewers who are familiar with wrestling like New Japan, Impact, Triple H. How big do you reckon that pool is? How many people in America that are based in America that will affect the American rating? How many of those people do you think watch New Japan? How many of those people do you think watch Triple A? Super low number, and you have probably already brought them in, to be honest. I mean, I couldn't even tell you the number of people that watch AAA. It's probably in the tens of thousands in America. Because shows like Impact, I think, get like, 300,000, is it? I think, isn't it like 50,000 for New Japan? Something from that, their views. I mean, we're talking super low numbers. You really think they're just trying to attract that fan base? I disagree. I respectfully disagree. I think they're trying to attract anyone they can. And I think if you're watching the show and they can make this match just feel a little more like it's worth watching, and they can just put a little sprinkle on it, then they'll try and do that. The notion that they're only like really worried about bringing in fans of AAA or Impact, I respectfully disagree, because that number is very low. It's very low, and I think they've already got a good chunk of that audience as it is. James said, I think Sting's announcement is he's got one more year left in him, and then he will retire at Double or Nothing. That would make sense. That would make sense. Kenny picks up the victory. Roddy said, a little too fast, but it was a good match. Aubrey said, James gives Impact approximately 23% of their views. I think James gives wrestling approximately 23% of its views. The amount of shows that he watches. Kenny in the ring, celebrate him. So how long we got? We got 47 minutes to go. Carl Fletcher on the outside, looking over at Kenny. Kenny rolling out the ring. Heading up the entrance ramp. Hello, TV. Oh, Danhausen. This was quite fun, actually. Is this the same one? Evil. I don't mind Danhausen. I know that people will say it's just more silliness, but I think that's what his character is, you know? It's a silly, fun, wacky character. It's an R-Truth, right? So yeah, I see that as their kind of R-Truth, if you will. And so, yeah, I don't mind him coming back. I think I'd like us to do something better with him, though. I mean, he did a lot of just standing around on the outside of the ring. Like, wasn't he kind of just around Orange Cassidy for a bit? And did we have Hookhausen for a little while as well? I can't really remember us ever really doing anything that great with him. So I like those little video packages heralding his return. And I know there'll be people that will probably be like laying into it because it's just a bit more silliness. But as I said, I sort of feel like that's what his character is. You know, so it's kind of like saying R-Truth is just silliness, but that's what his character is, so don't mind it. Gerald said, I'm fine with Danhausen, just don't overexpose him. She Gaming said Danhausen is not funny. Danhausen makes me want to watch Halloween 3 now. Leon said Jay Cargill is going to win the NXT Women's Championship, the WWE Women's Championship, and the World Women's Championship to become the first champ. Jim said Danhausen is not in the same league as R-Truth. Well, that's true. I don't disagree with that. But that kind of comedy character is what he is. And yeah, I think I could be on board with Danhausen. I think that there's definitely ways that you could use him that I think I would enjoy. But him just sort of being on the outside of the ring during like Orange Cassidy matches, and I think occasionally is like teased putting a spell on someone. I mean, I definitely don't want to see him put a spell on anyone, but him sort of like teasing and then being a bit like, what's he doing? Can't really think of much else we've done with him than that. I do remember Hookhausen. I don't know. I don't know if they've just struggled with how to use him creatively. Hopefully they've got something planned for when he returns. Right, we are done with that commercial break then. Funny Danhausen is when given the opportunity. Is a great wrestler too, said James. Danhausen is funny and I like the gimmick, says Brandon. What do you think the main event is? Oh, they've said it's the Battle Royal. Battle Royal's the main event. I mean, anyone else remember when Danhausen used to dump teeth in people's mouths? I don't remember this. Was this in AEW? What's this? What's this? Why is this man rolling down the ramp? The Murder Hawk Monster Lance Archer. So he's come out with some guy, and this guy's gone rolling down the ramp. Now we're fighting around the edge of the ring, and Lance is getting into the ring. This is another match that wasn't announced, which is fine, but I don't know who this jobber is. This feels like it's going to be a bit similar, I think, to the Wardlow match, like just a big guy going to get a squash win. Lance collides into Jobberson. And again, Jobberson goes down, but he has to get back up again because he gets collided into one more time. Jobberson's fighting back. Why is Jobberson fighting back? Archer with a kick, grabbing him, gonna plant him now. One, two, three. There we go. Jobberson is rubbish at selling. That's what we learned. Right. Lance Archer wins. But who you got? John Jones Stipe fight next month. It's hard not to go with John, isn't it? I mean, the way that he beat Cyril Gane so quickly was just so impressive. But also, Stipe hasn't looked as great in recent outings, and it's been a little while since we've seen him, so I've got to think that that decline has probably continued. So I've got John. But this is going to be a hell of a test for him. I'd imagine, I haven't seen the odds, but I'd imagine that John comes in as favourite. Swerve. What is this? Is it like a music video? Premieres this Friday. A remix of Big Pressure. Everything you've been talking about has come to this graffiti park. Prince Nana said you should be excited, and Swerve said, okay, well, why am I not then? Whew, jeez. I just saw the odds of that John Jones one. It wasn't a personal thing. You couldn't leave me alone after I beat you at Wrestle Dream. Do you know what I just realised? Part of my problem with the managers like Prince Nana, right, is that he does the dance thing, which people love, right? But you never see them do anything good. Like, if he was to actually set up meetings with Tony Khan, if he was to actually, like, get opportunities for Swerve, then when he's dancing, you could be like, yeah, I could support it more. I could be on board with it more. But actually, this guy, I never see him doing anything. And all he does is just that dancing thing. That is it. I mean, I think he's Swerve's manager. But I never see him actually do anything good. I never see him actually have meetings or get opportunities or do anything apart from that dance. So I was just watching that and I was like, do you know what? I really like Swerve and I really could get on board with Prince Nana, but if the only thing he's going to bring is that dancing, like, what? It's like, could you imagine Roman Reigns coming down to the ring and like Paul Heyman just doing the silly little dance every time he comes down? Like, I just think it kind of would set the wrong tone. Like, it'd be funny at first, but I just think after a while, it just takes away some of the credibility of the character. So I'm fine with him doing it, but give me some. Show me him doing something good as well. Show me him actually being worth keeping around. Otherwise, why does Swerve not just bin him off if all he's going to do is the dancing thing? But that's the same for, I think, a lot of the other managers as well. Here's Sting. It's Sting. He said, before I say the words, I want to reflect a little bit. Now, that's obviously teasing that the word is going to be a retirement, but maybe that's not the words. Talks about Lex Luger. Buff Bagwell shout out. It's about time. It's Sting. Dusty Rhodes. America. Hulk Hogan. Booze. I hear you, but Hogan transcended wrestling. I did learn something from him. Ric Flair. what do we do to fix Hulk Hogan's image? I know we don't have to, but like it's so disappointing considering there's not many wrestlers that are known by pretty much everyone in the world. People that don't watch wrestling know Hulk Hogan. And they just mentioned his name and gets booed out the building. Like, his reputation's in the gutter, man. People didn't buy his apology, did they? They didn't believe it. Or they weren't willing to forgive. I think he hurts himself as well, because you've got all the lies that he tells as well. That doesn't help. So Sting talking about the roar of the fans traveling on the road with the guys. That's what makes us keep coming back for more. Should I be jumping off of balconies? It's Sting. That word. What's the word going to be? Because I'm not sold it's retirement. You still got it, Chan. They booed Hulk Hogan. He retired once already. That retirement in 2015 didn't sit right with me. The only sure thing about Sting is nothing is for sure. Taking our time a little here. Brings me now to the word retirement. What are they chanting? Is it Rosenberg? The fans, during this moment, the fans decided to chant exactly where they are. My first match was Revolution. Final match, Revolution. Last match will be... So, last match, Revolution. That's like, when's that? February? March? One more thing you need to know. It's against your mom. Fighting your mom. Oh. The only thing you need to know about Sting is my retirement at Revolution is for sure. Yeah, okay, I believe him. I believe him. Turns out the word was retirement. And he's made the announcement that Revolution is going to be where he is going to call it quits. So Sting announces that he will retire at Revolution 2024 AEW is March time. So it was March 5th this year. I mean, to be honest, losing Sting Does it matter? Does he bring in viewers? I mean, it matters from regards of he's an absolute wrestling legend, and him being on the show is better than him not being on the show. But from a ratings point of view, does it make a difference? Does he actually bring in people? I don't think so. But there we go. It's Sting! Definitely feels like a video, doesn't it? I don't know, though, if they've actually announced when it is going to be exactly. But it's going to be March time. Interesting news coming out of AEW Dynamite. So Sting made this announcement, and it was heavily rumored that it was going to be regarding his retirement. He was quite reflective during this, and we got to the actual point of this announcement, and it was retirement. He did talk about retirement, but it's not retirement right now. He said that he came in at Revolution and he's going to go out at Revolution. And he said the only thing you need to know about Sting is that this retirement is for certain. And that's obviously in contrast with what he used to say in the past. The only thing about Sting is that nothing is for certain. Well, it certainly seems like this retirement is for certain. That is going to be his last match. I don't know if that's going to be his last appearance. I don't know if he's still going to be around in some capacity with AEW, but his in-ring career certainly, if not his time overall in AEW, is going to come to an end at Revolution. Now, Revolution is going to be around March time, so we've still got a little way to go. But this is a good way of doing it, to be honest. It's a good way of doing it because obviously this is going to be big talk. It's going to really build towards Revolution. And yeah, I'm excited to see who his opponent will be. My guess is it'll be Darby Allin. That'll be my guess. Those two having a match, I think, would make a lot of sense. But there we go. Sting, an absolute wrestling legend, one of the biggest names in wrestling history, will end his career in ring early 2024. Had to do the video on that. It is pretty big news. Unfortunately, we are missing, or I'm missing. I'm sure you're not missing. I am missing the Toni Stom thing. So I am going to have to catch up with this afterwards. It is her film, and I think it's a silent movie as well. I'll be interested. You'll have to let me know if it's any good. Sting said he wants to do a tag match, tagging with Darby as his retirement match. Could it be Edge and Christian? Could be. I don't know if the story will have played out to that by that point, but it could be. I mean, what are we looking at? About 5 months? Yeah, we could. Could be FTR. Right, here we go. Nick Wayne looking like a moody child. We're shocked. She can't make sense of it. I don't recognize you right now. I don't know who this is. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. He said it's time for him to prove himself. I've got a new father figure now. That'll be it. Keep it short. Keep it short. Christian's coming in. Are you ready to come home, son? Yeah, she's not brilliant. He's not brilliant. You're dead to me. It's not good. Right. Oh, what's happening? Darby attacked him. So they just walked through a door and then there was like all this noise. Yeah. I thought she probably wouldn't be brilliant because she is just a mom and I don't know that she's had much in the way of training and so it proved. But it wasn't that long and Christian being involved kind of helped it a little bit. Okay, how long have we got? We got 22 minutes. We need to get going, don't we? Oh, hello. Now we're fighting on the entranceway. Luchasaurus is making his way out. Darby being chucked down the entrance ramp as well. Is Sting? It's Sting! I thought he retired. What's this boomer doing here? I thought he'd retired. He's not done yet. Well, no, of course he isn't. He said he's not done till Revolution. Wow, blood on the face of Nick Wayne. He's took some punishment there. It's Sting. Okay, so Luchasaurus, we're really not leaving long for this battle royal, but I suppose battle royals don't take that long, do they? Really? Get a load of people in the ring to get them to chuck each other over the top quite quickly. Bish bash bosh. Bada boom, bada bing, battle royal. Done. Yeah, it's got a bit of blood coming down his mouth. That makes it look a little better. I hope AEW have got a good dental plan, said Kevin. Bada boom, bada bing, battle royal. Right, Mystico is taking on Rocky Romero. Blackpool Combat Club are in action. Sky Blue is taking on Ruby Soho. Ruby Soho. John Silver against Kip Sabian against Brother Jay. Brother Zay. Ricky Starks and Big Bill taking on Wheeler Yuta and Claudio. Plus Miro against Action Andretti. This Saturday, Battle of the Belts 8. Backstage with Renee Paquette. Sakura, I didn't recognize Chris Statlander for a second there. Don't know why her hair looks a little different. Don't mind a bit of Statlander, you know. Willow Nightingale. She's going to defend against Willow. Orange Cassidy has got the International Championship again. Don't know what you've got till it's gone. I knew I cared about it, but I didn't know how much I cared about it. Okay. Orange Fingers. Statlander Nightingale confirmed. They've ruined Statlander by putting her with those clowns. I don't know. I don't know if... do you think she gets any honor? I don't really think about them when she comes out and have her matches. So... what we'll say is them just standing around. Like, you got Hooker that's eating some crisps. You got the best friends that are eating some oranges. You got Orange Cassidy, who's not the most enthusiastic of people. Promo really lacked energy. It was really like... Right, Battle Royal. Justin Rhodes. That's cool. We never see much of him, do we? Right, Hook to WWE confirmed. Gerald said it's not been a good night for promos. WWE AEW fans said Battle Royal next. James said Tony Khan has got a gift for Sting on next week's Dynamite. Eric said, is it Friday? You have to acknowledge your tribal chief. Yeet. Roddy said, did I miss halftime scores? We all missed halftime scores. There was... why did we miss halftime scores? I think, was it something to do with the Omega match, maybe? So, yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's another so-so episode. I mean, there's been some okay moments. There's been some flat moments. Kenny match was okay. Jay White Penta... I thought the women's match was pretty rubbish. A couple of squash matches which didn't do anything. I missed the Tony thing, which was upsetting. I need to go back and like check that out. So that was a shame. So I can't really comment on that. Was it any good? The Tony film thing, was it any good or was it just not good? Feel free to let me know. I'd be very interested. I can't believe Tony thinks those Booker of the Year awards are legit. Dark Knight said, Tony will sing Every Breath You Take to Sting next week with an encore of Roxanne. Trini said, sometimes it's fun to just read the chat. It's more entertaining than the show. Mitchell said, we don't need all the squash matches. They don't serve purposes when they get done so much. Chris said, who's fighting? I don't know. I don't think they've announced who's in the Battle Royal. We have just seen Dustin Rhodes come out, though. And we know that Juice is in it. So Juice Robinson's in it. Travis said, I'm giving it about a 2 out of 10 so far. The Toni film was, nah, it's not her best work, says Gerald. Okay, thank you. I'll still watch it. The Toni thing was picture-in-picture and it was too small to follow. Was it? They did it during picture-in-picture? That's... Actually, that sucks. Because it's one thing I'd be really excited for. So for them to do it picture-in-picture would be really frustrating. But, and this might surprise you, it's also genius because, do you remember in early AEW, they'd go to picture-in-picture and Sammy would come out with his flashcards so that you can read like what he's saying, kind of a thing. I didn't get a chance to watch the film, but I believe it was a silent film. So it had text during the thing. So that would mean that you are not missing out on any audio. And so it's actually a clever way of using her for one of the picture-in-pictures. Have her each week or once a month do a silent film. But I agree that it might be too small to actually see what's going on. So they will have to bear that into a account going forwards. If you can make it really fun and still make it work with the picture-in-picture small screen that you've got, Sammy used to do the... Oh, that's pretty clever, isn't it? That's pretty clever. Pretty clever. We said that this gimmick will allow you to do other stuff, you know? I said, like, maybe a chat show, you can change the name of your moves. One of the things I didn't consider is that for picture-in-picture, she can do silent movies. That's such a good idea. But it's got to be executed correctly. It's got to be executed correctly. Because if it's not executed properly, then the film will be a bit dull and some people won't see it. So you need to make sure that whatever you're doing is big gestures, nice and clear, and then, like, you know, simple to follow. But I could see that being working for one of them. Don't mind that at all. But it just seems like it was not that fun and a little hard to follow this time. But I don't know, maybe something there for the future. Right, here's MJF. Bang Bang Gang have come down. Bang Bang Gang. Bangity bang. Bangity bang gang. Tinker, tinker, tinker. Is there an overrun? I mean, we've only got 11 minutes. MJF is going to take on the winner of the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal. Swerve Strickland has the stuff. Do you think he will ever re-sign with WWE? Would they utilize him correctly? I think they would utilize him correctly. Certainly got more confidence under a Triple H regime. So I think they would utilize him correctly, but I don't know that he's going to leave AEW because I think that he's in an all right place here, isn't he? It might have been a bit frustrating, but it feels like he's got a bit of momentum now. It feels like there's a way forward for him, you know? He's getting showcased, he's getting singles matches against Hangman. Like, I'd say it's probably not worth rocking the boat. Not at the moment. It's Sting! Jeff Hardy doing the dance. Let's dance. We got Dustin Rhodes in there. We got the Hardys in there. We got Hager in there. Was that John Morrison? Did he come in? Did he come in? Did I know he was in? I don't even remember if I knew he was in or not, AEW. Feel like I did, but I don't feel like I've seen him in forever. Big splash in the corner. Coach Co said second nickel puppy doo-doo on a Phillies swing with their Achilles. Mean excited. Automated collided scope to Kalu living room. Jeffy wifey call. Coach Co, shout out to you, my friend. I hope you are well. Hager. Hurling. Think was that Matt that's just gone? It is. Matt's gone to the outside. Shots coming in. We've got Jeff down. I can see MJF is making his way down. MJF is heading down to the ring for some reason. MJF. He's got... What is that? Is that money? It didn't look like money. Isn't your money green? That didn't look green. Perhaps it's IOUs. MJF IOUs. Juice Robinson is in the corner, and Dustin comes down, kicks Juice right in the gonads. MJF is happy about that. That money looked fake. Yeah, I'm not even American, and I thought it looked fake. I agree. MJF said that just had to happen. Right, so Mitchell said he called himself J-A-Y, clearly an L.A. Knight reference. Jay and Joe's World said, what do you think Sting's major announcement will be? Well, I said all along retirement. He kept teasing this one word, and we all thought it's got to be retirement. It was super obvious that it was retirement. And I think sometimes you can overthink these things, you know, and it turned out to be retirement, but not yet. Not yet. Gotta wait for Revolution. Which is a weird show to retire on, but I get his logic that he came in at Revolution, he's going to go out at Revolution, but wouldn't part of you be tempted to go Wembley? I'd be tempted to do Wembley. Wembley's going to be a bigger show, isn't it? It's going to be like a big stadium show. I'd be tempted to go out there. And I'm sure Tony would appreciate a show of that magnitude having a moment of that magnitude, you know? I mean, that's a great way to sell Wembley tickets, isn't it? Guaranteed to see Sting's last match. I mean, I gotta tell you, I'd be tempted. I'd be tempted. This is your last chance to see a legend, an undeniable wrestling legend, one of the all-time greats. One of your last opportunities to go and see him. So I am surprised he didn't go Wembley, but then I suppose I could understand him maybe not wanting to retire abroad and, you know, going out in America. And also, I don't know where Revolution is. Is it going to be like in the Georgia area or something? Or down in Florida? It's Sting! Stingy Sting! Revolution has traditionally taken place in March, but the date and location are yet to be announced. So we actually don't know. I was looking for the date and I couldn't find it. It's not been announced yet. Right, we are back from commercial break. The one and only time I saw my childhood hero Sting live was Nitro in the Nassau Coliseum when he and Kevin Nash were tag champs. Edward said, do you have any tattoos? Would you consider getting one? I don't. There's been a couple of times in my life, only a couple, where I've thought about getting one. But when I say thought, I don't mean that I've planned it and I've gone to the shop. I've just seen a tattoo that someone's got and thought, would I be interested in that? And then very, very quickly, my brain went, no, you wouldn't. And that was it. So, no, I've not even come remotely close, other than just having the odd little thought. I must admit, I have looked at Randy's arm sleeves before and thought, they're cool, man. They are cool. So that would be a big commitment, wouldn't it? To have like full-on arm sleeves. I'm a big believer in not doing things by half measures. You know, if you're gonna do it, then do it. So I do like Randy's arm sleeves. I think maybe once in my life I've thought, would I look good with those? And literally all of like 2 seconds later, the answer came back, no, you wouldn't. You'd look like an idiot, right? Because you're not ripped. You haven't got arms like Randy Orton. You're not as cool as Randy Orton. You look like a flipping idiot. So stop that. And then there was another one. There was a guitarist who's in the band for the AAS, one of my favorite bands. He's got like a star on his wrist. And I was like, that would be a nice little tribute because I really like that band. But then I was like, what are you doing? Live your own life. Stop trying to copy other people's tattoos. So that's it. In my life, those, I think, are the only two thoughts I've ever had when it's come to getting a tattoo. And literally all of 2 seconds later, I told myself off for it. So no, I don't. And I can't say I'm tempted. The best tattoos are temporary tattoos. I could see you with a barbed wire tattoo around your neck, like round here. That'd be pretty good. I think what I'd like is a snake wrapping around my body, around my neck, with its head kind of coming up here. Go for that. Again, I'm a big believer, no half measures. Stuff like that there. My tattoos are all meaningful to me, and all 10 I hide when I go to the church. Oh, really? It's men in it with their dongs out. All down here. I've seen pictures of Trini's. She's got like a guy here, and he's shall we word it? He's presenting his member. That's what he's doing. He's presenting his member. Good girth, actually. Decent size. She's got 10 of them. She's got one ear, one on each thigh, back of the thighs. All different guys. Same pose, all different guys. Respect. Respect. I could understand why you would want to hide that from the church, to be honest. I could understand. Why don't you get one like the date you started the channel? Because I've got a memory. I can remember things. Or I can just go to the... if I go to YouTube and go to the About section, it tells me I joined on the 13th of January 2016. Like, I don't need it tattooed on my body. I've never understood that as an argument. Maybe if I had a bad memory and I was like the guy out of Memento, then maybe I'd start slapping dates and addresses and shopping lists onto me, but I've never felt the need. We are getting down to the business end of this, by the way. We've been too busy talking about dongs. But we are getting down to, I think we got Caster and we've got Juice. Caster and Juice, are these the last two? Juice is on the edge of the ring here. So MJF said, I've never wanted a match to end more than this because neither of these options are great for me. Kick coming in, but Juice is still hanging on. Mitchell said, I've got an idea for a tattoo. Get a Disney castle. So you can ask a girl if you want to make her dreams come true. How does that work? Can I make your dreams come true? And then what? I just show them the Disney castle. Is that a thing? Does that make sense? I suppose Disney is... Would that work? Does that work? Can I make your dreams come true? And then I showed the Disney cat. I'm pretty sure they'd just look at me like I'm flipping mental. Just like, what are you on about? Caster goes down. What did Will Ospreay do with his tattoo? Did he add Tony? Tony lied to it. I think he just left it as it is. Tony didn't technically lie, did he? Because he did sell those tickets. It's just that's not the number of people that were in the building physically. So, but actual number of tickets sold, that number is still correct. Down goes Juice. Caster climbing up. Little bit sloppy. Elbow drop. Now Jay is attacking MJF. Trini said, I have blessed written on my bikini line, Hebrew on my spine, Chinese on my left shoulder, my son's name on the right shoulder, Superwoman on my leg, and others designed for lost loved ones. Very nice. Oh, he's got his championship belt back. I must have been thinking of someone else, Trini, when I was talking about those. Has he lost his belt again? He's lost his belt again. God, it's easy come, easy go, isn't it, eh? Easy come, easy go. Is that the TJ Maxx ring? Bang! Oh, he's just walloped him with the TJ Maxx ring. Yes! Caster is out cold and Juice wins. That is so good. He should if he got his own line of rings at TJ Maxx, who ain't buying one of them? Because I am. I'm totally buying one of them. $25. Decent looking ring. Let's go. I like Juice. Obviously, disappointing with the quarter stuff and everything. And but we've definitely moved past that. So MJF thought he'd got his belt back. He didn't get his belt back, and Juice has won this battle royal. And we are done. We are done. Is it true that Tony has got a tattoo in a secret location of the Young Bucks and Meltzer? He's got a tattoo in a secret location of Young Bucks and Meltzer, I believe so. On his penis. He's got a massive penis. And on there, he has tattooed Dave Meltzer and the Young Bucks. Lengthways. They're standing on each other's shoulders. Standing on the shoulders of giants. It's a very emotional tattoo, actually. And he can make them dance, but we won't get into that. Right. Hacker of Tomorrow said, what if Juice Robinson beats MJF next week? He gets the ring, but he's going to have to either wear 2 rings or he's going to have to make a very difficult decision because that TJ Maxx ring is pretty sick. So do you take that off to put on the diamond ring? It's a diamond ring, but that TJ Maxx ring looks great. Do you wear 2 rings? Is 2 rings too many? Do you wear them on different hands? Can you even do that? I actually don't know what ring etiquette is. So it gets all a bit complicated, doesn't it? It gets all a little bit complicated. Right, get in your scores. What do you score AEW Dynamite? Aaron, good night. See you on SmackDown. It's for you, Aaron. Wrestling Fan 316 said MJF won the TNA reverse battle royal. William said my body is a bathroom stall. William, shout out to you. Dork Knight said if I'm Tony Khan, I'm making an announcement in Latin on my back. Who watches Young Sheldon says here is the thing. What's the date that you hit 100,000, says Edwards. About, like, don't know the exact date, but it was like November of 2018-ish. James said, been 3 weeks since Switchblade was attacked by the mask folks, and there's still no follow-up on it. We just... doesn't matter, does it? It happens. You get attacked by people, you just, you know... You can either carry it around with you as baggage or let it go. And it's great to see we've let it go, isn't it, eh? Because that's the kind of thing that could really consume your life if you're really worried about it. But the healthier thing to do is to just move on. And we've done that. So, let's go. I think it'll be revealed that it was the Acclaimed. I think it'll be revealed that it was the Acclaimed. I mean, they certainly seem to be part of this story. But, yeah, I mean... we've done no follow-up on that. If it does turn out to be the Acclaimed, did MJF know about it? If he knew about it, then why has he been so weird with them since? If he didn't know about it, then why is he not asking who the flip they were? Because all of a sudden there's a vigilante group going around that's standing up for it. I mean, it is true. Like, we should definitely have done some follow-up on it, but hey-ho. AEW has turned into Frozen. They just let it go. Very good. That's nice. I can vibe with that. Here is the thing. Said it was Rikishi. He did it for The Rock. They're keeping the storyline on ice. Frozen again. In case they ever get The Rock. It will be Net Strong, said to heel. Okay, yeah. He said his pawning the diamond ring, said the real card. Did he? He's going to pawn it. That could be pretty fun. Maybe you could go into, what are they called? Porn stars, is it? Have I just made that up? Who are them people, that family that have got that pawn shop? Pornhub. Pornhub. Go to Pornhub. They have been in front the whole time. What do you rate the show tonight? Yeah, well, what do you rate the show tonight? For me, I would say it was a... I'm thinking 5 or 6. Because I'm trying to decide, it's probably a 5.5 in it. If I'm thinking, is it a 5? Is it a 6? It's probably a 5.5. I didn't see the Toni thing, so that could push my score up. I don't think it would take my score down. I really like her. So I don't think it would take my score down. It might move it up a little bit. Battle Royal was just sort of there, but I like Juice winning it. In-ring just didn't really do it for me, although I did like the Kenny match. So, got that. I don't know. It's. I got to tell you, it's a bit of an annoying show because I'm not coming away from it thinking that's trash. I can't do this. I'm not thinking that. I'm not thinking. I'm not like, oh my god, that was hard to watch. Like it wasn't hard to watch. I didn't have like a horrifically bad time or anything. Like, I would say it was passable. I'd say it was passable. Did it set my world on fire? No, it didn't. Was there some cringe moments? Yes. Yes, there was. But was it passable? Was it agreeable? Was it acceptable? Yeah. Yeah. Which I think is about, like, 5.5 kind of a dealio. Yeah. I feel about that. But I think I'm probably being a bit kind compared to others. We've got Wrestling Fan saying it was poop out of 5. Eric said it was a 1. Crispy Chris said a 3. Zoom Station said a 4. 5.5 says Danny. 0 said Travis. You went down. Weren't you at a 2? How have you gone to 0? King Kinshasa said 3 dads out of 10. 4 said A. Jobson. 3 said Little John John. Oof. Feel like I'm a little bit out of sync here. I was debating the 5 and 6. Maybe it should have been the 5 compared to your scores. I'm sticking with what I've said, but yeah, I mean, I thought the Kenny match was all right. I like Juice Robinson winning, so that's good. What else was good? The Sting announcement. That was nice. Bit of reflecting. That was all right. Sting. You remember that? That was all right. The Sting bit. That was all right. Kenny, Sting, winner of the Battle Royal. Maybe the Toni thing, but I haven't seen it. First match. I wasn't really into it. It was all right. I don't mind Switchblades. It was all right. All right. Didn't like the women's match. Didn't like the squash matches. Yeah, maybe it is a 5. I still feel like there was a bit there, though, Still felt like there was a bit there. John said, read my comment. My score is 10. Here is thing said, Meltzer and Alvarez will say it's an amazing show. The problem was the match outcomes were predictable, like the Kenny match. AEW fans do not like us at all, says Shaquem. Battle Royal was too predictable, said Travis. Yeah, it was predictable, but it was still, I think, the right result. I don't disagree it was predictable, but I like him winning. I like his ring thing as well, like him saying that he's got his own ring and TK. I've had a bit of fun with that tonight, so I don't mind that as well. There's definitely some stuff there that I can say that I got from the show, Jim said it was 12 out of 10. It's the best Dynamite we will see this week. I mean, that is true, isn't it? Thinking about it. That is a good way of looking at it. James said, the Sting announcement was big. Omega Carl was great. Juice winning the Battle Royal was great. Toni is killing it with the new gimmick. Yeah, I do want to see the Toni thing. Seth said, I know you hate the Young Bucks, but do you prefer them as heels or faces? I prefer them. That's a good question, actually. I prefer them as faces. I just want them to be serious. I don't want Brandon Cutler following them around. I want them to... I want them to not do what they're doing, basically. So I don't want them, do I? I want them to have good competitive matches where occasionally they hit big moves. And if there are going to be a few kickouts, I can deal with it. But a million miles an hour, move after move after move after move after move, and all that just keeps happening is everyone just keeps kicking out of everything, and it literally becomes, can we squeeze every wrestling move that's ever been created ever into one match, into a 10-minute period, and can we kick out of every single one of them? That's a Young Bucks match. And to me, like, it might be quite exciting when you see it the first couple of times, but having watched it again and again and again and again and again, It very much loses its appeal to me. Now, I know that I might be alone. I might be in the minority. I might be in the majority. I honestly don't know. But that is my honest assessment of watching them. Like, they are very skilled, but their storytelling abilities are atrocious. Their selling is atrocious. The structure of their matches is just let's go a million miles an hour and do everything. So how do I change that? What changes that? If they're faces, will they stop doing that? If they're heels, will they stop doing that? What changes that? Whatever it is that stops that and changes that, I'll go for that. But I don't think it really matters, does it? I think if they're heels or faces, they will still do that. So I suppose in a way it doesn't really matter. But I sort of just want them to cut down on the silliness. I much prefer them when they're a lot more serious. I much prefer them when, like, the Elite have got a genuine problem and they're having to, like, rally round and, like, maybe Kenny's got an issue, or, you know, like when they were not sure about Hangman and it was quite serious and Hangman was kind of being phased out and there was a bit of drama there between them. That, from a storyline perspective, was probably the most engaged I was with them. But quite often they can do, like, get involved in a lot of silliness. There's a lot of silliness that can creep into AEW. A lot. I wish there was someone that had the ability to cut all of that out, or just keep it like a tiny bit. Keep a tiny bit for, say, Danhausen, and just cut a load of the rest of the silliness out. Because I don't know. It's. I don't remember it having as much silliness as it's got now. I feel like it's got sillier as time has gone by, and there must be something that says that's what the like, you know, the ratings respond best to, is by, like, doing some of that kind of tongue-in-cheek silliness kind of. I don't know. It just seems to be riddled. The show's riddled with it. So, I don't know, whatever would scrap that, to be honest. Here is the thing, said, I find the books boring. Maybe they're more fun to see live. If they had some structure to the matches, they could be more fun. Zoom Station said Edge's interview was a bit boring. It was a bit boring. And it didn't really make sense, as we said at the time. Because he could have just, you know. The idea that Edge's daughter said to him, go and have fun with Uncle Jay, and he went, yeah, I'll do that. And then he had a word with Tony Khan and never spoke to Uncle Jay. Never actually spoke to Uncle Jay about, I'm thinking of coming in and I'm thinking we could get the band back together. What do you think? Like, he didn't do that. He just went and spoke to Tony Khan and just presumed everything was going to work out. And now he's really sad because it hasn't. I can't be the only one that looks at Adam Copeland right now and goes, you're a flipping idiot. You're a flipping idiot. You left WWE. You came over to AEW because your daughter told you to go and play with Uncle Jay. But you didn't actually speak to Uncle Jay. And you've just come over and now Uncle Jay's, got good things going for him where he's an actual champion and he's standing on his own 2 feet and he doesn't want you around. Amazing, yeah. Am I meant to feel sympathy for him or something? Because he just seems like a flipping idiot to me. I don't know. It was a wild interview. But I did like the end part where he said, well, do you know what? I'm not going to fight him. If that's what he wants, I'm not going to do that. You know, I will be there to pick up the pieces when they turn on him, and they will turn on him. So as we said, the bulk of it I thought was a bit silly, but the ending I think is interesting because which way does it go now? Are they going to engage in a fight and, like, they're going to provoke him a la Ray and Dominic? Or do we go the other way where he is going to do a bit of a CM Punk and take on some of those names like Swerve and Starks and, you know, some of that talent that he came in wanting to compete against? Is he going to face some of those, keep himself busy? And then when they do turn on Christian Cage, he'll make the save. And then we get Christian and Adam Copeland. I would think the money is definitely in them having a match. You would think the money's there, wouldn't you? So I've got to think they're going to provoke him. I've got to think it's going to be the Ray Dominic direction, but At least it's left it with a little bit of a, we could go that way, we could go that way, a little bit of a story, let's see what happens next kind of a dealio. So at least it wasn't a complete disaster in that regard. So yeah, it's what it is. Big Time said the thing with AEW, they forget WWE's fan base is immune from bad comedy because they've put up with it with decades. AEW fans want an alternative. If you want sports entertainment, then WWE has that. Well, there will be people saying that there is silly comedy in WWE, but that is something that I think has been criticized in WWE as well. I mean, we've been amongst the most vocal when we've spoke about like silly Miz segments. I mean, Miz and Morrison together just did my head in. And, you know, that kind of stuff, I think there's not really a need for it. And I think under Triple H, we have cut back on a lot of that stuff, you know? We have kind of, it's still there to a degree. You're still going to have like your Chelsea Green stuff. But as I said, I wouldn't get rid of it totally from AEW. I would leave some for Danhausen at least. I think for me, though, it's just a lot of silliness with key personalities. Like, you know, we keep saying like the MJF Adam Cole stuff. Like, for me, the MJF shouldn't be around that kind of stuff, shouldn't be around that kind of silliness. It needs to be like lower down the cards. So maybe like there's a bit too much of it that needs to be cut back, and it needs to just be focused more on the low end of the card. Maybe it just needs reducing and refocusing. I wouldn't get rid of it totally. I do think there is a place for that stuff, and I love that sort of stuff, to be honest. Your Breezangos, I mean, your Bushwhackers, come on. That was silly stuff, wasn't it? You know, Bushwhackers like biting their opponents, biting the referee, licking the faces of people in the crowd, walking down. Luke coming down to the Rumble, getting eliminated, and then just walking off again, like, rather than being disappointed, just off I go, you know? I mean, that kind of silliness, I agree, has been in WWE for a long, long time. Since, well, probably before the Vince era, but certainly heightened during when Vince took over in the early 80s. But I just think that it, on a 2-hour show like Dynamite, it seems to just be a lot more prevalent. And also, it seems to involve a lot more of the bigger stars. So, reduce and refocus is what I would say on that. But, again, they have got the numbers. They know what their audience want, and they know what's going to bring in fresh eyes. And if they genuinely think this is the right way forwards, they're the ones taking the risk. They're the ones that are taking the gamble, aren't they? So we can kind of sit here and say, oh, we'd do this, we'd do that. We think they should do this. There's no guarantee that, you know, we'd be right. There's no guarantee I'd be right. They're doing what they think is right. And I've said before, it's so interesting to be around at this time because we can see if they're right. We can see in numbers if what they're doing is the correct way forward or not. So we are very fortunate to be wrestling fans at this time. Wrestle Andy said, how dare you besmirch the good name of the Bushwhackers? What's next? Disrespecting Shorty G. I loved the Bushwhackers. I genuinely did. I love that kind of R-Truth, Billy Kay, Chelsea Green, Bushwhackers. That kind of humor is right up my street. But look at the names that we just mentioned there. Breezango, bottom of the card. Bushwhackers, bottom of the card. Chelsea Green, in all fairness, she is current one half of the women's tag champs. But they are using her in a clever way where she's got a monster next to her. So she's the comedy bouncing off like Piper Niven, who is the super serious, I'm going to mess you up. Like, and so they've got an interesting dynamic going on there. It'd be a bit like putting Danhausen with Wardlow, you know, and like just having a little bit of a, you know, fun with them as a tag team. Women's tag titles are what they are, aren't they? But yeah, you know, we're not dealing with like Roman. You know, we're not dealing with the top end of the cards when it comes to that. So, but no, I love the Bushwhackers. How dare you, sir? insinuate that I don't love the Bushwhackers. I'm like the number one stan of the Bushwhackers. I love those guys. Billy Clay is a legend, and you know what? We can definitely end on that. Kurt Angle is also goated. Yes, love it. Wrestling needs comic relief. It does. It does. And again, I would not lose it from AEW. I would just reduce it a little. But it does. I love it. I'm a big fan of it. I think wrestling is very much like theatre, a live form of entertainment. You know, and in theatre you have drama and you have comedies. And, you know, there's theatre that can tackle like real life subjects. And I think that wrestling can like reflect all of that in like a live performance way, but it's just how you use those elements, you know? So yeah, definitely room for comedy in the world of wrestling, of course. Right, we're done. I'm going to run away, but appreciate people joining us. A weird show in the sense of it's not bad enough for me to not want to tune in again next week, but it's not outstanding enough for me to be like, you know, taking to social media and singing its praises. Like, it was a show that I think was passable, and I am definitely interested in seeing that Toni Stom segment I missed, and definitely back again next week. So thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate the support. Have a good rest of your evening wherever you are, and whatever you're doing. And hopefully I'll see you again on Friday for Friday night.